there's actually been an update to Streamlabs OBS too. I was wondering why some things look different.
Oh, right, okay. I don't think I've got the update, but I won't load Streamlabs up now, just in case anything goes wrong.
maybe that's part of the reason why they wanted to, screw up all my settings as usual. They were like,
Probably.
so you remember when we had our normal sponsor GIF, but Dixie wasn't included in there, so we just put the logo above it.
Sure, yep.
So basically, after we got the newest sponsor GIF that included Dixie, I removed those files, not only from OBS, but from my PC, because I didn't need them anymore. So I just had the proper newest GIF. And for whatever reason, OBS decided to go back to the old way and pull files that I don't even have anymore and put those in the overlay, which is...
Do you know why it's probably done that? It's probably you've removed them from yours, but it's still been in the cache on my computer. So when I've loaded up OBS, and then it's probably put them back into the cloud, and then when you've logged back in, it's probably downloaded them again. I suspect that's what's happened.
Yeah. I also by I mean really dislike the fact that OBS likes to keep stopping the sponsor GIF from rotating. It seems to happen almost every episode now, and it used to never happen at all.
Maybe we should look for some new streaming software.
Yeah, I know Nathan Kim has been using Stream Elements, which he seems to like. He says it's a little bit harder to work with, but I think the results are a bit more of a payoff.
Yeah, XSplit's really good as well. I was having a look at that for my streams before I joined TopMac, and that was looking really good.
Okay.
Oh, my volume's way lower than yours, apparently, Brian.
All right.
See if we can get my mic a bit closer.
I just turned you up a fair amount, so we'll see how that works.
Cool. I've still got this weird issue where I'm watching my audio volume go up and down in Windows, and it won't stay locked as well, so that's frustrating.
Yeah, let us know how this is, guys. Hopefully this volume is a little bit more equal.
Yeah, shout out to everyone in chat as well. I've seen FizzKey, Mech27, Bledin, Langlandia, George, Reginasian as well, Ray, good to see you, dude. Chewy as well, from Mechs on Decks. Thank you very much for joining, dude. Yeah, lots of people in chat already. It's looking good.
Yep, Pod hasn't pinged yet, though. We're pre-show as always, guys. We're here a little bit early. We're just chilling, talking about whatever. Just waiting for everything, making sure everything's A-okay.
Yeah. Oh my god, he said my name.
Yeah. When Jay says your name, you're officially a cool cat.
Cool cats. Everyone's a cool cat. I don't have to say their names to be a cool cat.
No announcement post today? There was an Oh, I forgot to link it in announcements. Whoops. I did make the Reddit post on time, though. I just forgot to share it in the announcements. But the bot will ping in announcements momentarily anyway, so it should be okay either way.
You say momentarily. It'll either be in a minute or it'll
true.
be in 20 minutes.
It's literally it's like anywhere from 30 seconds to 20 minutes, and we really just don't know. So we kind of just hope.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
That's fine. People are already pouring in, probably because they want to hear about the drama.
Yeah, everyone loves a bit of drama. Jax, that's not your name. I know that's not your name.
You're funny. You're funny.
He's trying. He's trying.
Me6 does what he wants. That's very true as well. Please no Melons. I wish we could go like a month without Melons, but
we actually talked about this just before the show. Brian and I both said to each other, "Can we not just have 1 week where there's no drama? It would be just really nice if for 1 week the entire community got on. That would be really, really nice."
Yeah. And I get it. Some situations just happen and there's nothing you can do about it, and they are, for the better, generally speaking. But man, it'd be cool to just talk about keyboards and key sets for a little bit. Need a dedicated Melon segment? I feel like we're moving that way.
We did just suggest that as well before the show, because we have our document split into different sections of what we're going to talk about. We did talk about having a drama section. There's a bit of a joke.
Yeah. What's gross is, it would get more viewers. Our audience would grow because every time there's drama happening, our viewership goes up noticeably. Every single time.
Yeah.
weekly slice of melon.
Cole Kelly for the melons, yeah. You haven't missed anything, Looped Helios. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. We've got it on our document to talk about, so...
Yep, we're still currently in the pre-show. We don't officially start for another 5 or so minutes, so...
Yeah.
Just, grab a drink, grab a cat to pet, something like that. And, stay tuned.
Yeah. A bit chilly tonight, Jay. Yeah. And it's not because it's actually cold, it's because I'm just really tired. I've been up since just after 4 a.m. my time, and it's now 2 a.m. my time the next day, so I'm up 22 hours at the minute, so...
Wow.
I'm feeling the cold because I'm tired, not because I'm actually cold. But I do have assistance to keep me awake today. Ta-da!
I imagine you're sleeping after the show, right?
Oh, for sure. So I've got coffee as well. So cheers, everyone.
Coffee and rum. All right.
Coffee and rum. Yeah, I will be honest. I've poured some of the rum out already. This is about, I don't know, 70% rum and 30% Coke. So
sometimes we just have to have a drink on the episodes.
Sometimes it's just needed. It's just needed.
Sometimes there's so much melon, you just have to resort to alcohol. I wish I had some, but I've been sober for a while now.
Yeah, Langlandia, I've got coffee here, so that's keeping me going.
Or are we drinking?
Yeah, I don't usually drink during the show, but today it's needed.
Yeah, I think the only other time I drank during the show was towards the beginning of Top Clack's life on the episode that shall not be named, where alcohol was involved for the hosts and the guests, and it was most of it was a pretty good episode, but just towards the end, it got a little too much.
Sure.
And I remember that. That's why that VOD no longer exists.
Oh, really? Is that why it doesn't exist? Okay.
Yeah.
Ray saying that I can take his energy. Come put your energy in me, dude.
Bot looking a little slow today. That's all right, though.
Yeah, but it could be 20 minutes. You know what it's like.
I know.
It could be quick or it could be slow. We should take bets on it each week. We should have like a bet each week on how long it's going to take to pin. Mountain Blocks with the 200 bits saying cheers everybody. Thank you very much, dude, and thank you for my t-shirt. I did see that you given me my shipping notification for it the other day, so hopefully that will be soon.
Yeah. I should actually be wearing mine. Mine's at the front office of my apartment complex. I just haven't had time today to go get it before the show. So I feel kind of bad because I do want to wear it, but it has been delivered, which is cool.
I got the customs notification through for mine today, so it should be here tomorrow or the day after. So I might have it on stream on Sunday.
Nice. Twitch bot is fast? Not usually. Sometimes it is.
If you use the actual Twitch bot for Discord, that's quite quick.
Oh, is it?
But it's faster. But if we use Me6, because we use it for other things, it's a bit slower.
Okay. Maybe we should
Mr. Keeps in chat as well.
Hey, Mr. Keeps, how you doing, man? Oh, the bot did ping. Cool. So we can start.
Oh, has it? Oh, yes, it has. Yeah.
So,
I was looking in the wrong channel. I was in general waiting for it. I forgot we'd moved it.
Yeah, we moved it.
Yeah. Well, you moved it. And...
Hey! Top Clack moved it. You're part of it, all
right? Cows in Art Class says, Jay, that camera you were having trouble with shutting down, did you fix it or switch to another one? Curious what the issue was. Yes, it's fixed. The issue was that my Streamlight said I had my camera vertically above me. Here it's actually just here, but I had it vertically above the desk, and then about 2 inches above that was one of my light sources. I've now put them on the ceiling, so they're actually bolted up to the ceiling now with the light sources, so they're not shining directly on the camera. And it was on for 37 hours without issue, so I'm hoping that it's now fixed with the light shining on it. So hopefully we shouldn't have any issues going forward with it.
37 hours isn't good enough, Jay. Those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those up.
Well, if I'm ever streaming for 37 hours, then I'll start to worry about it. But I don't think we'll ever be streaming for 37 hours straight.
You never know. Bike Pedal subs with Twitch Prime. Thank you very much. And Pendemon also subs with Twitch Prime for 12 months. Thank you so much, man.
Nice. Nice.
All right. Is there an earthquake at J? Is there an earthquake?
No, we don't get earthquakes in the UK. I don't know where that's come from. 48-hour stream coming in 2020.
You're
Bledin. The ones we get in the UK are very, very mild, to say the least. In my lifetime, we've only ever had 2 that I remember feeling. So, yeah, they're not.
Your British tectonic plates are too strong. They're very tame.
Yeah, they're very solid.
Racing Giraffe subbing with Twitch Prime 2 months. Thank you very much. Appreciate the subs, guys, and the bits.
Nice.
All right, it's probably another minute before we start. I usually like to wait until we have a specific amount of viewers.
What's the specific amount?
I can't tell you. See, it would ruin it. It would ruin it if I told you.
Right. Okay.
Oh, we just.
I never keep track of it.
According to OBS, though, we just crossed it, so we're okay.
All right. Okay. Good.
Brian and I are in for the mega quake, says Mountain Blocks. Do we have an earthquake coming up that's just gonna destroy us all?
San Francisco, right? That's gonna be the big one.
Oh, is it? Uh-oh.
Yeah, apparently.
Uh-oh.
I think, was it 1906 or 1911 or something when you had a really big one in San Francisco? And I think they're reckoning that the San Andreas Fault's going to be the one that goes next time.
Yeah, I only remember like maybe one major one in my life, and that was when I was in elementary school in the in the late 90s, and that one was pretty bad.
Yeah. I have experienced one while I was in California a couple of years ago, but it was only mild. And speaking of earthquakes, Tectonic Play has just subscribed for 10 months. So there we go, 10-month streak. Tectonic Play.
I just saw that. That is very aptly timed. Thank you very much.
That's a great name at the perfect time. Well done, dude. Well done.
It
feels like you've been saving that up and just waiting to hit that button.
That was the right time.
Talking about earthquakes, yeah.
That is absolutely the right time. Okay.
He's been hovering over that button, and he's been like, "It's my time to shine."
All right, I'm gonna roll the intro. We're gonna start this officially now, guys.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world, guys. Welcome to the show. This is Top Clack. Today, for you guys, it's probably the 30th of May. For me, it's the 31st. But welcome to the show. We've got a fun-packed news document to talk through this week. Lots and lots of new stuff to talk through, and it's not all GMK interest checks this week, which is good to know. We have got some other things on the agenda today for a change, which is always great. A few other people saying it's the 31st for them as well, so yeah. I am Jay, and we've also got my wonderful other half, Brian, as well. So welcome, Brian. How are things with you, dude?
Things are pretty good overall. Can't complain. Thursday, best day of the week for me, generally speaking. Love Top Clack.
Good.
Love hanging out with all you cool cats. And I'm excited to talk about the things that we got going on today. News doc is looking pretty healthy, like Jay said. We have a couple maybe less fun things to talk about, but we try not to shy away from public topics, whether they are good or bad.
Yeah.
So we're.
Should we start with the mail call then, Brian? Should we run straight into mail call?
Yeah, we should, and I actually don't have anything listed, but that's not entirely true. So.
Okay. So what have you got? What's not on the list that you've got?
Okay, the only thing I really got that's really worth mentioning is I got the internals for my Kepler back from Heidi Bush, who is diagnosing some stuff for me. So I actually have... Ugh, this is so freaking heavy. I have rebuilt this. Well, not rebuilt. It still uses the same switches and stuff. I just put it back together, basically. But, yeah, I've been using my Kepler now for the last few days, and I've been freaking loving it. The True Isolation mount is pretty rocking, if I do say so myself. I got some GMK TA90 on there. It looks...
I was going to say, is that... Yeah, it looks really good. I didn't know you'd got TA90, but that does look really nice. I really like that key set.
Yeah, I'm rocking that Cherry Profile Row 5. What do you know about that, Jay?
Ooh, yeah, I love row 5. I've got one set that's got row 0 and row 5, and that's just perfect.
Oh, wow.
I really like row 0 as well for the F rows. That's really nice. But R5 bottom row, it's not done in enough sets. I think we should see more of it. I think I've only got it in Carbon, an original Ski data set, and Sky Dolch. I think those are the only sets I've got with it in. So
yeah, what set has row 0?
It's an OG set, so it's off some OG board, but that's it's not. I think it's OG die subs. I think they are.
I think there's one more modern set that uses it. I think it's GMK Iris. I'm pretty sure.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that set has row 0 and row 5. Maybe someone in chat can correct me on that, but I'm pretty sure. It kind of flew under the radar because no one really cared about the colorway.
Yeah, well, the set that I have is definitely an OG one. I think it's die sub rather than double shock, but I don't have it on a board at the minute, so I'd have to check it. But it is definitely row 0 and row 5. George is confirming that GMK Iris has it, so there we go.
Yes, I'm not wrong.
Well remembered. Well remembered.
Yes, I love not being wrong.
Cool.
All right, what about you, Jay? I'm sure you have some pretty cool things to show off as usual.
Yeah, I got a ton of switches in this week. So Linears, the IKEA switches, some inks, because gotta love some inks, and some trash pandas. So full bag of trash pandas. So I'll be doing some builds with those soon. More importantly, what also came through this week is the revision 2 prototype of the J01. So this, ta-da, it's got full of fingerprints, but this turned up this week, which is it's effectively going to be Geo's board, is this, because he's one of the guys that bought one in the group buy. So I now have 2 of these. I've got this one, and then the actual one that I use on a daily basis, which is wearing GMK Deep Space at the minute. But yeah, so that came in, so it was really exciting. So a few slight tweaks from round 1, but it's looking good. Pretty impressed with it. So yeah, there we go.
Awesome. Well, a short mail call between us today.
Yeah, but it's a hefty mail call.
That's true. That's true.
Because that board's chuffing heavy.
Our mail call together weighs a lot, honestly.
Yeah, it's a heavy mail call. Yeah.
Jayun now hosting us for 50 viewers. Thank you so much, Jayun. Appreciate that, my friend.
Thank you, man. Yeah, and welcome everyone who's viewing with Jayun. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Geo saying, hi baby, I'll be seeing you soon. Yeah, it's here for you, Geo. I'll be bringing it to Seattle for you, don't worry. I'll bring it over then, with all the other bits that you need as well. Don't worry, it'll be there. It'll be in Seattle.
Oh man, Mountain Block's telling me to go get my mail. I would, but it's like it's like a 8-minute walk each way. My apartment complex is huge. It's like to go get it and come back, it would take a little bit.
Don't worry, Mountain Blocks. I'll have your shirt on Sunday as long as it arrives before.
I'll wear it tomorrow on stream. I will beat you to it, Jay. Easy peasy. I do have a build stream tomorrow for those of you guys that are wondering, and I will be wearing the Dolch shirt.
Nice. Okay, so 2 build streams this week, both in Mountain Blocks Dolch shirts. There we go. Yep.
Mr. Share Keebs is also hosting us now as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Keebs.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate the hosting. It's really nice to see. Thank you. Okay, so should we roll into some announcements then?
Yeah,
Brian, I think that's
let's start with probably what a lot of people are waiting for. We might as well. Why don't you give us a quick rundown on this whole scenario that's going on right now?
Yeah, sure. So there's been a bit of a public service announcement on Reddit. So I'm going to post a link into chat for those of you that haven't seen it. But effectively what this is a bit of a warning from Aspen. It's a bit of a public service announcement around some of the group buy activity that's been run by Teslatron, who's been a pretty active member of the community over the past couple of years, fairly prolific in terms of his designs. And it seems that in terms of his actual production, that's not been quite so prolific. A lot of us that know Tez know that he's had issues with production manufacturers and things like that. But I think there's a lot of other private buys and smaller projects that have been ongoing that have struggled to get off the ground or taken a little bit of time. And in fairness to Aspen, this isn't a witch hunting post. He's posted up as purely as a service announcement to let people know what they're getting into. It's written very well. It's clearly laid out, and it's got a lot of feedback from a lot of high-profile community members. But effectively what it's doing is it's reminding people that if you are going to join some of these group buys that run across the community, or some of these smaller different runs, that you do have to be aware. It's kind of a buyer beware type thing, where you guys need to take responsibility for the decisions that you're making around which products you're buying, what group buys you're joining, who's running those, and really making sure you're doing all those background checks first as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, not all of this information is necessarily secret. A lot of this has been public for a long time. If you know where to look, you know who you talk to, you kind of gather the information yourself. But this user kind of just went through and did it in a very well researched, well written, and well presented post. And I do think that it is to the benefit of the community. You know, I've known Teslatron for a while now. I've talked to him a lot, both about keyboards and about other things in life. I would actually consider him a friend, honestly. He's been great to talk to about lots of things, and you know, we used to play games together all the time. Like, he was a good chat, honestly. But you know, sometimes you got to separate personal from business, and I think it's safe to say, and even he knows it, that he's made some mistakes in group buys, and you know, he has had some issues, like Jay mentioned, with manufacturing. You know, the factory that he was working with was having a lot of issues, and you know, he recently kind of swapped over to a new factory, and he's been working on that. He's had new prototypes of the Lumina. I know a lot of people have been waiting for that. That's been running for a little while now. That was one of the, you know, the more major, larger affected group buys that he was doing, and so as far as I'm aware, production on that is actually going a lot better now. But you know, at the end of the day, he's had some issues, and this user just wants to warn everyone that, you know, he needs to basically finish up all the things that he's working on now properly and correctly before he should be moving on to other stuff. And he just wants people to know that everyone should be aware of that.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, as Brian said and articulated quite well there, what you've got to try and do is split the person from the business. You know, people can be nice, whether they have, you know, good or bad business sense or anything in between. I think it's fair to say Teslatron is aware of the mistakes he's made. He's trying to make amends. Be that as it may, this post does serve as a warning to the community. It's well worth reading. It's well worth taking heed of the advice, even if not in this circumstance and with Teslatron particularly, around the wider community as well. You know, there are other vendors out there that have had problems in the past. They're trying to do better. And there'll be more people out there that do have problems with vendors going forward as well, and group buy runners. So it is a really strong reminder that it is buyer beware in this type of community, and it can be something that's difficult to accept at times. But that being said, I think it's fair to say that we hope that everyone that has a problem in that thread does get it resolved in time. We don't wish anyone ill on this show. We want to hope that everyone gets what they've paid for and the products that they've sorted out, and we hope that Teslatron does well as well, and that he is happy and wants to remain part of the community. So it is up to you guys to make your own decisions. Just think about it. Try and be logical. It's not a witch hunt, so please don't be witch hunty about it. It's not the type of environment we want to portray on Top Clack. So, yeah, I think it's just take it as it comes and try and make your own decisions, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Zerpocalypse is actually pointing out here pretty well, he says, I think the thread authors could have done better to prevent witch hunting. Their wording in some places and omission of some information to further their position does degrade their position in my IMHO. I can't emphasize it enough. Look for the context in the screenshots and docs provided. Do not just look at the Reddit thread alone. And that is a very good point. Yeah. If you want all the info, you do have to look through all of this. You have to open all of these. You might have to do a little bit of digging yourself. I don't think it's quite as cut and dry as this post can sometimes make it out to seem. I do think this post does have a few minor issues that I wish were changed that could be edited, but the OP has chosen not to do that. But you know, at the end of the day, most of this is pretty factual. So
yeah,
it's just...
I mean, and in terms of these sorts of threads that we see, this is probably the one that's written in the most. I'm going to say grown up, but that's probably not the right way to explain it. It's probably written in the nicest way something like this could be, compared to a lot of these posts that we see that are just basically slanderous and libelous and you know, quite damning quite quickly. This one actually does have a measure of control to it, which is nice to see. I agree, Brian, there's some things that they could have done a little bit better, and Aspen should be open to changing some of the facts where he's being corrected in the comments below. I think that's definitely something that should happen. But it is one of the nicer posts that we've seen in that respect, and it is kind of done very much not in a witch hunter kind of feel. So hopefully we'll see some positive news off the back of this, and it won't be something that's pushed into negativity, because I think that'd be wrong for everyone involved.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Jay said, guys, here's the information. Try to get as much of it as you can, intake as much of it as you can. Make your own informed decision, and we'll just we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay, what else is in announcements this week then, Brian? What else have we got to talk about?
So just the same old 24-hour stream coming soon still, guys. We haven't forgot about it. Trust me, we're just waiting on some media assets. Once we get those, we can finalize the structure, and we'll be bringing it to you. So it's still looking like June, still looking like next month. So yeah, fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed.
We know the content we're going to do. We just literally are waiting for all of the redesigned assets and things like that from the logo competition and stuff. So as soon as we've got all that, we'll kind of do a whole big rebrand, refresh, and everything all in one. But yeah, we've got a lot of plans for you guys, and we hope that you guys are really going to enjoy it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, with that in mind, let's move on to our news doc. How about that?
That sounds like a great idea. There's the first link into chat. Do you want to walk us through this one, Brian?
Yeah, so this is the group buy for the IMK aluminum Corne case. I think is how that's pronounced, but don't quote me on that. So I think what this is basically a Helidox alternative case, which is kind of a split ortho ergonomic kind of design, I guess you could say, that's been around for a little while now. This is a little bit more of a premium option to add on to this. And yeah, so the group buy is actually open now, and as you can see, it's a pretty interesting looking case design. You do have this kind of like full metal chassis with an integrated plate there, and the bottom kind of has this acrylic. I think that's acrylic. Might be polycarbonate, but no, it's acrylic. Okay, so acrylic cover there. Yeah. You got like your little programmable screens here. Basically, it's just like a higher end version of the original Helidox, which I think is pretty cool. I've always been a big fan of bringing less popular layouts and less popular designs a little bit more closer to the high end of the market, and I think this is kind of a step in the right direction. With that, you can take a look at the pricing here. You can get a polycarbonate version or an aluminum version with or without tenting, and that's going to run you anywhere from about $165 to $200, depending on which option you choose and how many people are a part of the group buy. So there is kind of an MOQ pricing scale on that. How do you feel about this, Jay?
I quite like it. The fact that it's got tenting on it is really interesting to me, and I kind of like really small boards with the integrated case. You know, the whole kind of all-in-one case where the plates integrate. I kind of like that as well for something so small as this. It really works. It keeps the board nice and neat and tidy. It makes it feel a bit more solid. I think this looks great. I think the price is all right as well. There's clearly a lot of thought gone into the design and the all of that kind of stuff. So I think it looks all right. I think the price is good. The board looks nice. The tentings are good. If I was in the market for a miniature split board like this, or like a Helidox, I think I'd be definitely looking at one of these.
Yeah, I kind of like the picture towards the bottom of the thread. They have the polycarbonate version, and it has
with the underglow.
The underglow, and that looks pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie.
It does look really good. It does look really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
I think it looks good.
You can accomplish a lot. I feel like on a case this small that's polycarbonate with like so many fewer LEDs, and like you really do get a nice even glow like all across it. While on larger keyboards, sometimes the RGB can get lost in a lot of places based on the design.
For sure. Yeah, I agree with that. I think personally, I like that deep blue with the polycarbonate base. I think that's where I would be at. That deep blue is a really nice color. So I think I'd be in that camp, I think.
Yeah, I'd like to see the charcoal color too, but it looks like they don't have a picture of that in this thread at least.
No, there's just the deep blue and the space gray. I think there isn't any pictures that I've seen of the charcoal.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, so that group buy is open until June 24th. So you still got a little bit of time to go through on that, almost a month. So if that's your thing, maybe give it a check out.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, moving on, we've got a bit of a project from the EU. So this is being run by Caps Unlocked, who is one of the EU vendors. So he runs a Caps Unlocked store. This is a little bit of a different take to what we've just looked at. This is the CU80. But what it does have in common with this, it is a unibody design as well. It's an integrated plate. So it's a TKL with an integrated universal plate. So that's either ANSI or ISO, depending on what you'd like. It's a low profile case, but it comes with a fully hot swappable PCB, and it's £108 if you live outside of the EU, which is about $130 for a custom TKL that is CNC machined with an integrated plate and full hot swap as well. What do you think about that, Brian? What do you think about that price?
I mean, that price is pretty good, but let's look at some of the features. All right, so do we have? I'm going to compare this to something like the K-Type or something like the Mass Drop Control.
The Control, yeah.
Boards of that nature, because that's kind of what you're going for here. You're going for a low-profile aluminum case design, hot swappable PCB, standard layout. This is the kind of market you're trying to hit here. So what kind of features can we actually expect from the CU80?
So in terms of this particular one, it comes in multiple different. It comes with multiple different switches. So you can either have the black, blue, brown, red, speed silver, or silent red cherry switches. It comes with a free assembly service if you want it built in for them. You can have tie-how keycaps added as well for just £30, which is about $40, give or take. But in terms of the actual rest of the board, that's pretty much it. It's full RGB LEDs per key as well. But it's a hot swappable board, ANSI or ISO layout in a nicely bundled integrated plate. I think for me, there's a couple of bits of feedback I would probably like to give on this one. I think in terms of the bottom row, it's a little bit weird these days to have a TKL that doesn't offer a 7U bottom row option. This only offers a 6.25, and I have checked that with the designer and the runner, and they aren't currently planning to put a 7U option in there. Again, it's low profile, and as you mentioned, Brian, it does really remind me of the control board from Mass Drop, but the control board is only a few dollars more expensive, around $40 more expensive, and for that you get a much better foot option because you get the magnetic feet. You get the side glow that the control board offers as well. The control board also comes with caps, so if you add caps to the tie-how caps to this particular board, the CU80, it's already in the same price bracket as the control, but it doesn't have some of the other bits and pieces. And the control also has dual USB-C, which this doesn't. This is just a single USB port. So I think it's kind of interesting. I think for the custom community, it's probably not the right board for people who hang out in KB Customs or the kind of the general population that we have watching the show. It's probably too much of a simplistic board for a lot of people. We want a little bit more customizable stuff. We want things like the Vern and things like the Jane. That's kind of where a lot of people tend to look at. So for me, this is probably targeting more of that same audience that the Control does. But I'm just wondering if it's going to be a little bit of a miss. I'm not quite sure how it's going to fit with that. How is it going to get the same sort of reach to that audience as Mass Drop does, or Drop, does now, when it's being advertised in kind of the more hobbyist end of the community? I think that's probably the big challenge it's got.
Yeah, I think obviously we're comparing it to something like the Mass Drop Control, or the Drop Control, I guess now. Whereas the Drop, they have a lot of money. They have in-house manufacturing. They have a lot of ties. They can get products like the Mass Drop Control to a very, very cheap price, more so than someone like a vendor in our particularly niche community like Caps Unlocked. So I think we're kind of seeing that difference in scale, that difference in money here. And that's just something that can't really be made up by a vendor like Caps Unlock. No offense to them, obviously, but they're not they're not Drop. Drop is a huge multi-million-dollar company that can do a lot of things that a lot of people like us cannot do quite as easily. So I think we're kind of just seeing that there. I do think that the price is still reasonable for what you get. Having hot swappable sockets for the switches is good. Having the RGB lighting is good. This is a very entry level board, and one thing I do think is pretty cool is that it is, unlike the Control, offered in an ISO version, as well as
which
the
is really
RGB
big,
version,
for the EU community,
Yeah, so that could be really cool depending on who you are.
One of the really, really good bits about that, and I'm glad you brought up the ISO piece, because this is what I was going to move on to. So we've talked quite a lot about what it's like in terms of price compared to the control in the ANSI version, which is for the majority of the American market. In the EU market, we would actually have to pay import fees on anything from Mastrop as well, which when it's bundled into this, there's just VAT. So it actually makes this significantly cheaper in the EU than the control board would be. And having that ISO support as well is a really, really big win, because it's something that the EU community cares about, whereas the rest of the world tends not to. But it also only has an MOQ of 25, so it only needs to hit 25 boards to actually run into production, which is pretty good, I think. I think that's a really nice MOQ. It's nice and achievable. It's a really good number. It's not something that's going to be hugely difficult to hit, and I think it'll do quite well based on that. So I think what we've done is we've tried to bring you on a journey with the way we talk through this. But so I've seen some comments in chat, but I hope we've covered all of the talking points there.
Yeah, I think we covered it fairly well. So the GB will go live late July / early August, so still got a little ways out, but that 25 units MOQ shouldn't be that hard to hit, especially if people that are in the market, people that are in the EU, people that are in the UK that have been looking for a control or K-type alternative to actually fit their layout. This could be a total winner. For people in the US, this probably doesn't look quite as attractive.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was trying to drill home earlier on. I think if you're in the EU with the ISO layout, with the kind of price difference between the control, because it will be significantly cheaper than that, I think this is the board we've been waiting for in the EU, and I hope it does really well. It's good to see these kind of projects coming through.
Yep, absolutely. So make sure to check that out when that comes to fruition.
Excellent. Okay, so moving on to something a little bit different, a little bit more upmarket potentially. What have we got here?
So this is the interest check for the 7V, a 75% keyboard designed by Gok, who has done several projects in the community, more notably EPBT Kuroshiro was his design. And this is kind of a new 75% board with a very interesting kind of layout. I'm going to try to find the best picture for it. Okay, here we go. So as you can see here, it's kind of an interesting 75% design. You do have the arrow keys segregated here, kind of like you would see a la 1800 style layout, as well as a side cluster of 3 keys here, like you might find something on a 660 layout. Then of course you have your F row up here as well. So I think this is kind of a unique layout, but it works really, really well for someone like me. I think this is pretty attractive, if I do say so myself. One thing I did notice that was kind of interesting is the weight design. So you might notice, I'm going to try to, if I can catch this on camera, right? You might notice this right here, this is a gap. There's a gap between the weight, I'm going to call it, since it's probably going to be a weight effectively. There's a little bit of a gap between the weight and the case there. That's actually intentional. So he does say that, let me find it in the bottom here, sorry guys. So he does have a little FAQ at the bottom, which is really nice. Really good interest check, by the way. He does say, little FAQ, why is there a gap between the top and the bottom? It's to avoid the standard butt seam. In architecture, if there's a change in material, there is usually something to mediate between in which we call a negative detail, or we'd use a trim. So that's actually a design choice. It's not like a mistake or anything. So that's kind of interesting. Usually the community is kind of a fan of tight tolerances, so everything fits together really cleanly, or seamless design, or some kind of gasket solution. But here he's just omitting all of that and just being like, here's a gap, deal with it. This is my choice, which I'm totally fine with.
Do you think you could call that maybe a crevice, Brian?
I might call it more of a crevasse, but
right, okay.
It's close enough. I think it's interesting. I think it's different. I do think the board looks pretty good, though. So let's take a look at some of the specs. So we do have a case angle of 7 degrees. The materials are going to be aluminum and steel or brass. I'm assuming the steel or brass refers to this actual weight here.
Yeah, it
I
looks like
imagine
it, yeah.
the case itself is probably only going to be offered in aluminum. The mounting method, which is actually probably one of the more interesting points in this, is dampened plate over Wilbatech leaf spring PCB mount. Construction will be revealed after the prototype is in hand. So we can surmise here that this will use the same mounting method as Wilbatech's thermal, which we've talked about previously on an episode. And that's going to be using the leaf spring PCB mount system, which we haven't actually seen any kind of design on it yet. So we don't know the schematics of this yet. We can kind of surmise how it works, but we haven't seen it yet. But Wilba did say he would release how it is done once he gets the prototypes in and they are working efficiently. So I'm really looking forward to that, because this is going to be a new mounting style that we haven't seen in the community before.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. I think a couple of things that stand out for me on this board is that staggered F-row. I know when we talked about the Wraith designed by Sierra Amber a couple of weeks ago, we both agreed that kind of staggered F-row with that with the gaps between the staggers being uniform across the width of the board is really, really nice. It's one of the ways to make a 75% look really appealing. I do like split out arrows. That's why I've got them on the JR1. I really like segregated arrows. I think that really fits this board as well. It looks great. The bezels are nice. I'm not too keen on the logo, but that's a personal thing. I'm not so keen on the aesthetics of the logo. I'd prefer it to just be blank up there or have something a little bit different. But I do really like the weight design. Having that gap really draws your eye to it, and I kind of like that. I think that really fits for me. So I'm really interested in this. Sadly, it won't support ISO. I know that he has that in the FOQ. And just as well to call out, this is a really nice laid out interest check as well. There's a lot of information here. It's laid out really nicely. There's an FAQ section, all of those kind of things that we love. Tons of renders. It's really nice. So there's not going to be any ISO. There's probably not going to be any wind keyless blocker, but when you do look at the layout that's offered, it does offer a Sangan bottom row through use of a 6U spacebar, which is quite interesting. And I think if I was going to build this, that's probably the bottom row that I would pick on this board, rather than going for the 6.25U build. I think I'd go for the 6U offset.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of GMK sets in particular do often come, even in the base kits, with a 6U offset spacebar. So that's not a terribly uncommon cap for those of you that might not know. So I think that's pretty effective here. I do like the layout choices. I think this is fine. I think the design's good. I think you're wrong. I think the logo is fantastic right there. Having nothing there, I feel like would be a little too bland, so I'm glad he does have the logo there, just kind of like it would be maybe the TGR 910 or the Q. I think both of those benefit a lot from the extra design there. That's me personally. But of course, I'm always right and you're always wrong, Jay. So
I think it's the logo itself that I'm just not a fan of. But again, it's just my design affectations. I'm not a fan of that particular logo. But that's not to take anything away from the board. I think everything else about this board is really nice. I really like the rest of the use of the space and the bezels, the staggering of the F-row, that uniform stagger across the top is really, really nice. And that whole kind of exploded right-hand column and arrow key section I really like as well. So there's a lot going for this board that I do like. Irrespective of
I'd be curious to know what the 7V stands for. Where's the name coming from here?
I don't think he covers it anywhere in the intro check from what I saw when I was reading it through.
Yeah,
so,
I went through it as well, and I couldn't find that information. But regardless, it's looking pretty good. The plate is going to be a 1.5mm polycarbonate. Might test aluminum as well, but I don't think it'll achieve my aim. So he obviously has a very clear goal here, and polycarbonate is what he thinks is going to achieve that goal, and that maybe metal plates are just a no-go for this. So maybe he's going for a specific feel, a specific flexiness, a specific sound, and polycarbonate is the goal here.
Okay, everyone is saying that the 7V is because 5 is V in Roman numerals, so it's 75. 7V is 75. Okay. So although 7 isn't a Roman numeral, so I'm not quite sure why they'd use an Arabic 7 and a Roman numeral to get 75. But I can see I can see where it is. If say that. I think Lou Helio's actually hit on why I don't like the logo. He says Louis Vuitton copy, and I think it does. I think that's what it is. It reminds me of the Louis Vuitton logo, and that's why I don't like it so much. I think you might be right there, Lou Helios. I think you might have just hit why I don't like that particular logo design.
Okay, I've heard the name Louis Vuitton, but I've never seen the logo. I'm not really familiar with what it is or what they do. But
one of the largest fashion houses in the world, Brian.
I'm wearing a Weebs on Keeb shirt right now. How much do you think I care and know about fashion? Let's be real. But back to this board. Does feature a Wilba Tech designed PCB, the WT75C, which is not hot swappable, so it will be a solderable design, and it will feature QMK and VIA support, which is A+ in my book. Love me some VIA, as well as a USB-C daughter board, which we're starting to see more of these days.
Yeah. So I think this looks good. I don't think it's going to be a bad board at all. I think it'll do really well. I'm really interested to see the prototype when this one comes out. So sounds good.
Cool. Let's move on to the interest check for Treasure Type 9 Series 2 USB-C hot swap 9 keys metal macro pad. Great title, by the way. Tell us about it, Jay.
It's a lovely title. Yeah, so this is from Eric Art. So he's from Treasure, which is kind of like an industrial design company. And this is his second version of the Type 9, which is a 9-key macro pad. So this is a really, really cute little board. It's 9 keys. It's kind of got this nice rounded design. It comes with DSA keycaps as well, a travel case, and a USB Type-C cable as well. So all you have to do is bring key switches for this particular board. So if you're looking for a little tiny macro pad, this is quite possibly the thing for you. So just looking at some of the specifications, it's completely hot swap, so no soldering is required. USB Type-C, as I said. PCB has LEDs as well. The plate, it has a plate in this as well. It is technically a kind of a tray mount design, but on something so small, it's probably not going to matter too much. But the actual case design itself is one unibody CNC aluminium piece. So it's a single block of aluminium that's completely CNC milled for this particular use case. And as I said, it does come with 9 custom DSA keycaps as well, which is kind of a nice little touch. How are you thinking about this, Brian? What do you think?
I think it looks pretty awesome. Like you had said earlier, I think cute is a very good term for this.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah,
you know, we're starting to see a little bit more of a push towards higher end mini pads, macro pads, whatever you want to call them. Obviously, the M6 line from RamaWorks is wildly successful, very popular, very nice. I have one. I use one. It's awesome. We've seen things like the Ocelot from Singa. As well as stuff like the minivan from the Van keyboard. So I think kind of making a push into that world, I think is pretty cool, and I'm always happy to see more. It looks not as interesting to me as something like the M6 line, but I do think it does seem like it has potential. I'd like to see the price. I think that's where I'm going to draw the line here. If this is too expensive, this is clearly a no-go for me, and if this is priced really well, then this is probably going to be a pretty big victory.
So what do you think that price should be? Where do you think you'd draw the line on that price?
Well, I mean, right now he's competing with what? The RamaWorks M6C, which just freaking launched like last week. We covered it, and that's what you're competing with right now, which features a lot of stuff, including the caps, brand new profile caps, including switches, including a cable, a silicone bottom with all new these torque screws or whatnot. Like it's a full featured macro pad for $100. So I think he really needs to come under this, since this isn't quite as feature rich. It does have 3 more keys. To some people, that could mean a lot. To some people, it might not mean quite as much. It kind of depends on it always depends on the end user, right? What your level of functionality, what level of functionality do you need? But if you're looking for a high end macro pad, this still could be for you. I think this needs to come in under $100. I think $80 is probably about the most I'd ever want to spend on this particular product.
Sure. No, I think that makes perfect
knowing
sense.
what it comes with right now.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think I would agree in there. I think somewhere in the region of $75-$80 is kind of where I'd pitch this particular piece. If it was in that kind of price range, I'd be quite interested in one. But I've got a thing for little macro pads. I've got quite a few of them. I've started to garner quite a collection of them. So I'd be tempted with this. So yeah, it looks good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to check this out when it actually moves on to the group buy phase, and we can actually check out the price, which was what I'm most excited about. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we have the interest check for the Austin, which is a compact full-size keyboard 1800/CP, formerly the DB01. Which I don't really remember the DB01. I don't know if that was something we ever covered on the show in the past.
If you did, it was before my time on the show. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but effectively, this is a really interesting kind of style of layout. So it's kind of like a hybrid version of a full size with an 1800 style, and I guess this is slightly akin to like the Duck Blackbird in terms of layout. It's been a while since I've seen one, so don't quote me on that, guys. But it looks pretty interesting to say the least. I kind of like the weight design, which starts it's mainly on the bottom here, but here we go. So it kind of comes up the back a little bit there.
Yeah,
I do like that
like
quite
that
a bit. That's pretty attractive. It does feature a fixed plate, which I am a big fan of. And here are the I'm gonna say semi-fixed because you have one backspace option, two backspace options. You can do split backspace or normal backspace. That's like the only deviation you can really have here, besides stepped or unstepped caps lock. Otherwise, you got pretty minimal layouts, but I'm in favor of that. Fixed layouts I think are great. I think that's where our community is moving towards, and for better or worse, some people just have to deal with it. But regardless, it's a good looking board. Why don't you talk us through maybe some of the specs?
So in terms of the actual board itself, it comes with an aluminium top and bottom, brass weight, which you can have sandblasted or PVD shiny finished. It is a top-mounted plate, which I think for this size board is quite fair. I'm not sure that gasket mount works for boards like this, because then you're going to be, instead of having it in the center of the 60% of the typing area of the alphas, the actual center depression is going to be somewhere off over around the punctuation keys rather than in the center of the board. So I think that's completely fair. It's a 5.5 degree slope, which is a little bit shallow for my personal taste, but I think that's quite within the realms of acceptability. Plate materials will be aluminium and brass, and to be determined if there's going to be any other options. The PCB comes with QMK and USB-C, and it will be an ARM-based design as well. In terms of the layout, there is, as Brian alluded to, ANSI only, and a few variations on that: a split backspace, slightly different bottom row, step caps lock or not, and then an option around how you do the zero in the numpad. There is no ISO available on this particular board unless he's starting to struggle to hit MOQ, and then he might consider adding it, which is, he's given a reason for it, so that's completely fine. It's pretty fair what he's saying there. And do you know what? I think this is a really nice looking board. I think it looks good. I think there's a lot of options here, a ton of potential. I like the rounded corners. I like the style of the board. The side view looks really nice as well. And as you said, Brian, I really like the fact that the weight has that little lip that comes up the back of the board as well. I think it looks really nice and gives it that nice feel of flow to the actual design.
Yeah, so to the top right of the arrow keys, are these supposed to be notification LEDs or indicator LEDs?
Yes. Yeah, from what I understand, they are.
Interesting. Okay, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. That kind of stuff gets me all the time. Kind of like in the Ion designs for the Xeno and stuff. I really like that kind of stuff a lot. Other than that, I think it looks good. It doesn't excite me, but I like it.
The thing that I'm not a fan of on this board is that kind of weird column that's in between the alphas and the numpad. I'm kind of not sure I'm sold on that particular column being there. I'm not sure what I'd use that for, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, so this is kind of like what was the board that we like just covered? The 7V that we just talked about with a numpad in terms of layout. It's a lot similar to that. So I like who is this layout for? Is it for full-size users? Is it for 1800 style users, or is it kind of something entirely its own?
See, if I had a numpad, especially with an extra row across the top like this one does, the keys that I'd have had on the right hand side on that 75%, I'd just put across the top of that board there, or I'd put it into the Fro. It's got opportunities within there. I just feel that it tweaks the balance a little bit, and I'm not sure I'm keen on it, but I think the board itself looks nice. I'm just not sure on that one column in there, but that's just my view personally.
It's an artisan cluster, Jay. Get with the times.
Well, I love an artisan cluster and I love macro columns, but I'm just not sure I like it where it is. I think it's a positioning more than anything for me.
Yeah. Regardless,
and with a board like that's what your whole Fro is for, right? That's what your artisan's got.
That's true. That's true. Anyways, it's a very nice looking board. Interest check, really well laid out. I like a lot of things that are going on here. So yeah, make sure to check in on that. There is an interest check forum if you guys do want to check it out.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be interested to see how this one goes on. Yeah, yeah. I think Mini 1800 might be something that's quite common this year in certain different variations. So I'm interested to see how that goes.
Jay, is that kind of like a segue into our next topic?
It is in some ways, yeah. I just think I think it's going to be the layout of the year is Mini 1800 in different variations. I think it's going to be really really popular. So yeah, so moving on, and just before we do, I am me, you are you. Thank you very much for the Twitch Prime sub, 8 months. I think we missed a couple as well, so I'm just going to try and scroll back and see if I can see any of those. I'm sure we missed at least one other sub. I can't scroll back far enough.
I don't think we did. I think we're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, cool, excellent. Okay.
Okay, so tell us about the interest check for the Cypher Efroless Compact 1800.
Yeah, so I already have one of these boards from the original round one. This is by West Foxtrot, Max, who runs Cable Car Designs. He's the guy that was behind the ANSI board as well. So as I say, I already have one of these. I built it on stream a few weeks ago. Again, it's kind of that whole Mini 1800 layout, has indicator LEDs, a separate arrow cluster. Originally, this was designed for his partner. She required a board for work that gave her a numpad and kind of all the other features. So this layout was designed with her in mind, and the round one was kind of just to make sure that she could have her board. How do we hit MOQ to get a reasonable price? But now Max has teamed up with MyKeyboard.eu, who have sponsored us on a couple of my build streams recently, to try and bring this board to a wider audience. So they're looking to try and hit around about 100 of these boards. So it's fairly large group buy, fairly open. In terms of some specifications, the front of the board is actually just under 17 millimeters high if you don't have bump-ons on. So if it's on a flat desk without bump-ons, it's just under 17 millimeters high. Top mount board, so it does have top mount tabs on the plate. In terms of the build I have a polycarbonate plate in mind, and I have a carbon fiber build to do as well, which will be on stream in a couple of weeks just before the group buy launches. I don't think they're going to add carbon fiber to the group buy, but the actual group buy will have either aluminium if you want a thermotyping feel, or if you want something really soft, then they will have the polycarbonate in 1.5 millimeter as well, which does make it quite soft and quite bouncy to type on. It does support ANSI and ISO, and there's a few different options in terms of your bottom row and how you want to lay out things like backspace and other options like that as well. And it's going to come in 3 colours, black, grey and dust pink. So for those that you see my board, it's got a black top with a dust pink bottom, so if you want to see either of those colours, you can see how they're going to turn out. In terms of the price, it's between $325 and $350. I think they're trying to work out how many they're going to sell and things like that. So that's broadly going to be the price range for the board. MOQ is 50, and as I said before, a limit of 100.
All right, seems pretty reasonable. So since you've actually now built and used the board, is it worth the price range?
Yeah, so the original 10-spot run was a little bit more in terms of money for the board, because obviously there's the lower the MOQ, the higher the price, right? It makes sense. Yeah. But I use mine daily at work, and I absolutely love the board. As a work board, as a productivity board, it is really, really good. Effectively, with the standard having 60% plus arrows plus a numpad, it just really works for the way I work in an office environment. So I've been genuinely loving the board, and I'm probably going to buy another one if I'm completely honest.
Wow. Okay. Nice. So it gets Jay's massive seal of approval. Buying a second of a board is a pretty big endorsement.
Yeah. I'm really, really tempted to get another one. So I've got one at home, one in the office at work. So yeah.
Maybe I have to get one too. Sheesh.
Yeah. Maybe I should bring it to Seattle.
You should.
Maybe I should bring it.
You should.
Yeah.
I would appreciate that. Also bring the JO1 so we can compare the isolation map from that to the Kepler.
Yeah. Well, the JO1 is definitely coming to Seattle, because I have to bring Geo's or the empty prototype I showed earlier on. That's actually Geo's.
Yeah, but I need one to type on. I need to try it.
Well, apparently he wants to build it just before we go to the meetup. So
are we gonna do Are we gonna do a build stream from our Airbnb?
Maybe we will. Maybe we'll do the show and the build stream from the Airbnb.
Oh my god, what a ridiculous thing we could do. I need to bring tools to the Airbnb. I can bring some tools, I guess.
Yeah, I can't bring a soldering iron on the plane, sorry, Brian, but I can bring you board.
Yeah, I mean, my soldering equipment is pretty easy since I just use a TS100 and I can bring my FR300 and stuff. Should be pretty simple. All right. Anyways, back on topic. That's the interest check for the cipher. Make sure you pay attention if you wanna check this out maybe later. There is a forum, of course, as usual. If you're interested in this.
And as I say, I will be building or rebuilding my board from the polycarbonate plate, which is a little bit soft for me, to a carbon fiber plate in a couple of weeks' time. So watch out for that build stream coming as well.
Cool. All right, let's move out of the realm of boards and into the realm of key sets. We're going to talk about something that kind of flew under the radar a little bit, and kind of rightly so, but I do think it's a very nice set. So this is SA Fluffy Clouds, group buy going on at Novel Keys right now, and this is kind of unique because there are only two versions of this, an Ortho base and an Ergo add-on. So this set is very obviously targeted at Ortho linear users or Ergo Docs-esque users. So the kits reflect that. So those are your options. The rest of us normies that use 60% TKLs and such aren't cool enough to get something like this. But I do like the colors a lot here. I liked them a lot when we covered them in the interest check, and it's pretty nice to see. And I do think it's cool that the Ortho linear and the Ergodox users get some love here and there, even if it is individual and independent from more common layouts.
Sure. I think that's fair. And you know what is really nice, I think, is that the MOQ for the Ergo add-on is only 50. So that's nice and easy to hit. Again, I think you're right. I like the colours on this, but what my favourite part about this is it's all R3 SA. So if I'm going to use SA, I like to use all R3. So the fact that this is that layout and that sculpt and that profile, I kind of like that. I think it will work really well for ortho boards.
Yeah, and it's not terribly expensive either. You get the Ortho base kit for $70. You can do the Ergo add-on for another $45. So, at most you're spending $115 plus shipping on this set.
Yeah,
like that's pretty reasonable. And you can fit a lot of smaller layouts with that. So, cool to see.
Yeah.
Group buy is going to be run until June 22nd, so you still got a few weeks left on that. Easy peasy, guys.
Yeah, and it looks like these are going to ship around November as well. That's the estimate that Mike's giving at the minute. But it is also worth calling out that these are signature plastics keycaps as well. They're not going to be max keys or anything like that. It's definitely going to be signature plastics.
Yep, the genuine article, as some might say.
For sure, yeah.
And speaking of signature plastics, let's move over to our next topic, which is the long-awaited DSS profile, guys. And they're initially launching it in the Dolch colorway. So if you guys maybe aren't familiar with what DSS is, I'll give you a quick rundown. I tried it about 2 years ago at the July summer meetup in 2017. They had their first prototypes there. Signature Plastics was there, showing off all sorts of stuff. This was one of it. And this is what really caught my attention, because I looked at it, and I was like, that keyboard looks like it has DSA on it. But it's sculpted. And that's exactly what this is, a sculpted DSA. I typed on it for about 4 minutes, and I was like, wow, this is actually pretty darn good.
Sure.
So I kind of forgot about it just because it's been so long and they've been talking about it for so long. But now it's actually hit the market. You can buy these now, and they ship really fast because they already have them in stock. These are already made. This isn't a group buy. These are in stock. You order them, you're going to get them quick. So
yeah,
really happy to see that.
Just on that, I ordered mine at 7 p.m. my time last night, and when I woke up this morning, I'd got an email about 3 a.m. saying that they'd been shipped already. So they are shipping. But yeah, so just a little bit of history on this keycap set. As Brian said, it is pretty much a sculpted DSA set. So DSS is sculpted DSA. But originally it was used in the early 1980s, and it was used on a couple of vintage boards back then, before it was retired due to DCS profile coming out, which is something else that Signature Plastics offer as well. So it's kind of interesting that it only had a relatively short life back then, but they're bringing it back for the hobbyist community. I've not tried this out before because it's only been US meetups so far, but I'm really, really interested to try it. So I bought a ton of different kits. They've all been shipped out to me, and I really can't wait to do a build with these and give these a try as a new profile. I think new profiles are always good to have in the community. So yeah. Yep,
absolutely. So I'll be picking up a set of this as well, just because I've been really into this since I've tried it. Been really wanting to get my hands on some of this. Glad to see that. I think DSA feels okay, but I really do prefer like a mild sculpt over a uniform flat profile, which is why I tend not to really use DSA, but I really like things like Cherry. I really like things like Cat Profile. So I'm really glad to see this because I feel like this is going to be a winner. This is going to be kind of more of a Cat competitor, if I would say anything. That I think it's going to be pretty comparable to that, or at least an alternative of sorts. So pretty excited to see that.
Yeah, and I think they're onto a winner picking such a classic set as Dolch as well. It's something that's timeless. It's something that people like. It goes with a ton of different coloured boards. It's not something that's particularly difficult to pair with a nice board. It's a great colourway to use. In terms of some of the kits, so I ordered pretty much every kit that's available. I did reach out to Signature Plastics because both the Ortho kit and the UK ISO kit weren't available to add to cart. Now, from what Melissa at Signature Plastics has told me in the past few hours, those will be available in about 2 to 3 weeks. They're just finishing off the tooling, and then as soon as the tooling's finished, they're going to start making those keycaps. So if you do want those 2 particular kits, then you will be able to pick them up in a couple of weeks. If you are wanting those particular kits and you're wanting some of the kits as well, I'd recommend that you probably pick up the other kits first, because whilst this will be in stock fairly often on Pimp My Keyboard, I think what's there might sell out quite quickly in terms of a lot of the actual kits.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be quite popular as this for people trying out a new profile.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of price, it's not terribly surprising. It's not amazing, but it's not awful. It's pretty much what you'd expect from Signature Plastics. You can pick up the Alpha kit for $75, but obviously that's just going to include your Alphas. So you'd add on the modifier kit for another $35 if you're using most standard boards. So that's already, $110. If you're using some slightly more obscure layouts, maybe you're doing HHKB, Sangon, stuff like that, you're going to need the Pro modifier kit, which is going to be another $27. So you're already up to about $137 to fit pretty much all your relatively standard keyboards. Mm-hmm. But that's not terrible. That's in the ballpark of a GMK set, just with a little bit less functionality. Signature Plastics has never been cheap. It's always been more expensive than most other options, including GMK. You guys think GMK is expensive? Signature Plastics is pretty much always more expensive. But it's still within the realm of reason, I think. And for a new profile, I think it's probably worth trying it out.
Yeah, I'd agree. As I say, I will have these on stream hopefully in the next... They might even be on stream on Sunday if the package comes through fairly quickly. But the only kit I didn't pick up was the Ergo Dots set, so in terms of what's available. So excited to see these, try them out, get them on show, give you guys a bit of an update on what we think. I know, Brian, I'm sure you'll be wanting to do the same as well.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, there was still one thing I wanted to talk about. That I was going through the kits earlier, and I thought... I was trying to see if they were missing anything compatibility-wise, and I did find something kind of interesting. So sure. I went through the kits, and I saw that it supports HHKB top row, so it has the the row 1 1U pipe key as well as the mod colored tilde, I think is what it was. But they're missing the 1.5U backspace for row 2. They have a 1U backspace for row 2.
Interesting.
But they don't have the 1.5U for HHKB, which I thought was kind of interesting. Unless this is kind of a mess up here, and this row 1 backspace is 1.5U, and it's supposed to be row 2. So this picture could be a little misleading. I'm not sure. I think this needs to be moved down 1 if that is actually the HHKB backspace, though. On the
I'm just looking at the actual keycap. It does look like it's a slightly different sculpt to the 1U backspace at the side of it. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they've just got that in the wrong place. Yeah, so
picture can be a little bit misleading, guys, but in theory, this is the 1.5U row 2 backspace, even though it's in the row 1 row here in this picture. So just keep that in mind, guys.
As I said, I've been chatting to Melissa about this, so I'll reach out and ask her, and if she lets me know, I'll confirm back. But yeah, I think you're right, Brian. That looks like a very different sculpt of key next to that R1 key. It does look more in line with the R2 key.
Because it'd be weird to be like, yes, we support HHKB, here's all the keys you need for it, except for the backspace. That would be odd.
Except for one key, yeah. It would be bizarre to do that, yeah.
Yeah, because they have the 175U control here as well, so... Clearly, they're making an effort to support HHKB. They just might have made a little bit of a mistake here in the picture.
For sure, yeah. It certainly seems that way, yeah.
Yep.
Shout out to Japanese Horror Writer. Thank you very much for the 1,000 bits, dude. We genuinely appreciate all of those. That's really kind of you, so thank you very much.
Heck yeah. Thank you so much, man. All right, let's move on to our next interest topic, which isn't the first interest check topic that we've talked about that started as an April Fool's joke.
No, it's certainly not. So this is GMK Dots by Beep, who most of you know from the community, from designing a number of artisans and also winning our recent competition for a logo design for Top Clack as well. So this is an interest check that he ran on April Fools for GMK Dots. It's now planned to actually run as a set in group buy from July the 1st through Novel Keys, with Candy Keys, Data Clack and Zep Frontier as proxies. In terms of the base kit, there's quite a lot of compatibility in there. Because there's no legends, you can get away with a lot fewer keys to get that compatibility as well, which means that the base kit price is around $130 for 250 MOQ, and the Nomad kit to add additional functionality is around $35 for 150 kits as well. What do you think to this, Brian?
I'm not really sure what to think, honestly. I've been thinking about it since we started prepping for the show earlier, and I think it looks good. It's very playful, and I think it's a fun set, and I'm glad to see it run. I'm not sure how I personally feel about it. I don't think I'll be buying it, but I think it's fun. I always think it's interesting when people release sets or keyboards or whatever on April Fools as a joke, and then everyone's like, yeah, do that, make that. Which is exactly what happened with GMK Hamon, and now we're seeing it again with GMK Dots. So,
sure.
Obviously, there's a desire for it. Obviously, people want it, and who am I to tell them no?
Yeah, I think I kind of like this. There's a couple of things I personally might change just because of my sensibilities. I think the white dots are a little bit too bright with the bright colors. I do like the grey dots that are used on the arrow keys though as well, but I think if you replaced all of the white dots with the grey from the arrow keys, it'd just mute the set down a little bit. It would take the edge off it. I think I'd prefer that personally. And the second thing as well is if you look to the numpad, you'll see that the two U vertical keys have got a vertical bar on them. But if you look at the ISO key, which is the same height, it's got a single dot. I would like to see that vertical bar on the ISO enter, given the fact that it should be able to copy the same legend from that bottom enter key. I'd kind of like to see that vertical line there.
I'd like to see it, but I'm not really sure how well it would work in comparison to the rest of the 60% cluster of the keyboard. I think it does make a little bit more sense just because of how thin the caps are and how vertical they are on the number pad.
Maybe.
But I mean, if you had just in your 60% cluster, you had all your normal keys, all your horizontal lines, but just on the ISO entered, you had a vertical line, I think it might look a little conflicting. I feel like Beep is the kind of guy that's smart enough to consider that and try it, and it might not have worked out very well for him.
Maybe. I think the other option that I'd like to see instead of the bars as well, what I think personally might work is having like 3 coloured dots across some of these longer keys, like the enters and the shift keys as well, rather than having the long bar, having 3 yellow dots or 3 green dots or something like that, or the vertical keys as well. I think that would just be more in line with the name dots as well. I think that just fit a little bit better.
Yeah, I actually do think that could have been a really, really interesting idea. Maybe we can still see that. This is obviously still an interest check. Nothing is absolutely 100% certain yet. He's still taking feedback and such, so maybe we can get a slightly different design on this. Maybe it could be a real winner here. But I think for some people, this is already quite a key set.
Yeah, I do really like it. I think it's really, as you said, playful and fun and different. And if this does get to group buy, which it looks like it will, I'll probably end up picking this up, I think.
I feel like he should do novelties that include squares. How silly would that be? Like it's a dot set, and then your kind of abstract novelties are squares.
I'm going to agree to disagree with you on that, Brian. I don't think it should have.
But I don't disagree with
squares.
Sheesh.
Well,
come on, Jay. What's it like being wrong all the time?
I don't know. You need to go and look in a mirror, mate, and double check because yeah, I don't think
bad, man. I don't know. I just think it'd be more fun to just push that silliness factor. But
no,
regardless,
no,
I think the potential is high here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting set to see. I think I'll I can't wait to see this. I think this is going to look a little bit different in real life to where it does in renders as well. I think it's one of those sets where no matter how good the renders are, it's not going to do the set justice in terms of what it's going to look like. So, I would like to see the caps in real life. I can't wait to see them. I'm probably going to end up buying this, given that it goes July the 1st. It goes into group buy. Yeah, July the 1st. So
yeah, man, very, very interesting. So there you go. Coming to some proxies near you on July 1st.
Yeah, Dixie says this is going to be a group buy on July the 1st. This is just an announcement, not an IC, really. LOL. Well, don't call it an IC then. If it's not an IC, don't call it an IC. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That I do agree with. He is targeting the base kit for around $130 and the Nomad kit around $35, and that's based on a 250 and 150 MOQ respectively. So pretty reasonable prices there. Like you said, when you have keys that are not necessarily blanks, but they don't have proper Latin legends on them, you can cut down some of the keys just a little bit to still match the same amount of compatibility. So we're seeing an okay price on that as well. I like that.
Yeah, I'd agree.
All right, let's move on to GMK Fro.Yo, which I'm assuming is kind of more of a themed set around frozen yogurt. For those of you that might not be aware of what Fro.Yo is,
it is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I do quite like this interest check actually because it starts with "Attention, all you beautiful people! Summer is quickly approaching." So this is clearly an interest check for me, but perhaps not Brian with that "all you beautiful people" quote at the beginning. But it is the time of hot, humid, and vibrant sunny days.
I'm just going to beat Jay real quick. Hold on. But yeah, I like this. It's kind of fun. It's kind of playful. The theme, obviously, it's trying to push that kind of delicious, refreshing summer treat theme a little bit forward, kind of like we have recently seen on GMK Rocket. Is that what it was called?
Yeah,
GMK Rocket, I think, which is kind of like the popsicle summer kind of theme set. This is a little bit more frozen yogurt, obviously, but as some of you may or may not know, I'm a large fan of food because I am a large guy. So I like the food-based sets. They always speak to me.
Yeah, I think this is really cute as well. It's a really cute, fun set. The colours work well. The fact that it's an L9 base looks really good. I like the multicoloured legends. It kind of does look like you've got sprinkles on top of your frozen yogurt or whatever. I think it's a really nice little set. I think it looks great. I do like that muted kind of colour on the alphas, the legend colour on the alphas. That's really, really nice and subtle. I think those alphas would work well with a lot of other sets if you wanted some darker modifiers too. So I really like this. But what I really like about this interest check is the Rama Artisan Keycap, the little actual tub of Fro.Yo. I think that looks great.
That is just too adorable.
It's really cute, isn't it?
And it says Fro.Yo on the front printed section. That's fantastic.
The best part is got that tiny little cherry on the top, which is really cute.
That's pretty cute. I do like that. I think this does have a lot of potential to actually get. And just like we've seen, I don't know if people are taking advice from us or if people are just getting way better interest checks. But man, they really hit me with the naming scheme here. So you got the shop kit, the shop hay, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
And there's a junior kit for 40s and split. And then there's a cashier kit for the numpad. That's clever. I like that. There's a snack bar kit. And one thing that makes me really, really happy here, but I can see why it might not make other people quite as happy, is you get forced text-based novelties, Jay.
I do like a good text-based novelty, just like you do, dude. I do really like those. The fill key is the one that I really like.
Yeah, I think this is fantastic. It's so fun. It's so whimsical. It's very playful. But the set doesn't, blow up in your face. It's not super flashy. It's just the right amount of flash, even for having so many colors. Text-based novelties, I'm always a fan of. If you force them upon me, I don't care. I'm still okay with it. I'd use them anyways. So
I've just seen something that replaces the fill key as my favorite. It's a discount key for backspace. I really like that. I hadn't seen that legend before, but yeah, that looks really good. That's
just great. It's just great. There's a size key, a deluxe, a topping key. Oh man, this is just too good. It's just too good, man.
There is one slight thing I do want to address with this set as well. So right above where he's got the shop kit, he does say that he's integrated basic ISO support. And at first glance, I thought he had done, but there's 2 problems with the ISO support. So I might PM him just in case this hasn't been picked up. So as everyone knows, the key things that you get with the ISO is you get the ISO enter, and then you get the key just to the side of that, which usually has the tilde and the hash on it. Here he's gone for the backslash and pipe, and then on R4 he's gone for the backslash and pipe as well. I don't like having both of the same legend. There's multiple options there, so I'd change that. But the bigger problem is for the split left shift. It should be a 1.25U shift or add key in this set, and the 1U pipe backslash key as well. But he's actually got a 1.75U add key in here instead of a 1.25. So that actually wouldn't work for ISO layout as it stands right there. So I'm just going to ping him and make sure he's aware of that, because I wouldn't want this set to run with the wrong key.
10 Strong says, Jay, you're missing your third pipe backslash. There's one above the short discount key. Above the ISO.
Yeah, but that's the R1 key that you get with every set. I'm just thinking for the ISO layout in the 60.
Yeah, I know. It's just fun. It's just fun to see 3 of them in this render next to each other.
Yeah. Personally, I'd keep the 2 of them. I'd keep the R1 one and the R4 one, and the R3 one I would change to tilde hash. Which is,
this could just be a mistake, honestly. There's not really a reason to have that there. No ISO layout even uses it on row 3, do they?
No, sorry, I didn't quite catch the question there, Brian. You broke up a second.
Okay, my apologies. So the row 3 pipe backslash key there isn't used on any ISO layouts to begin with, is it?
No, it was a relic of ISO US, which doesn't have split left shift. So instead of having it where we have it on split left shift, you'd have it next to the ISO key, and you'd have full left shift. So it should be tilde and hash for UK ISO. For European ISO, there's a whole raft of different ones, but everyone's broadly comfortable with the tilde and the hash. But the bigger problem is definitely that 1.75U key should be 1.25U. Otherwise, it just doesn't fit on the keyboard.
Yeah.
I think actually the Royal sweatshirt is the Royal who's behind this, because he says he's taking notes. I think he's actually in the chat. So I hope you've heard my feedback. I won't PM you if you've heard it. I don't want to take up too much of your time. But I just those are the two things to fix on this. But in terms of the rest of it, and I think it's these text novelties that what make me like this set so much. The only other thing, a little bit of feedback as well. I've just seen another key I like even more than the discount key now. The escape key, Brian. It's called Mix. How nice is that? Mix.
Oh, I didn't see that either. Oh my god.
Yeah, Mix.
This is fantastic.
The only key that doesn't have one is the tab key. So you need another just as good text novelty for the tab key.
Yeah, you gotta the tab needs to be something else. You can't have everything else be normal. Or everything else be abnormal with the tab being normal. I think the tab needs to be something else as well.
Yeah.
Hell, I'd even go as far as to change all of the text on the other keycaps, like your navigation cluster, for instance. Change them all. Force text-based novelties for every cap, please.
For the whole set. Yeah.
Be the change that I want to see in this community.
Yeah. There is some really good keycaps in here, though. I really like a lot of them.
Yeah, I feel like if this gets a little bit of polishing up and the compatibility gets to the point where it needs to be, this is a must-buy for me.
For sure, yeah. I would agree. I do like in the junior kit as well for the 40%. There's some other keys as well, more or less and things like that. I think that's really nice. And there's an key as well in there, which is really nice too. So
give me the key as the GUI keys. For
that's
for the base
kit.
I think that'd be kind of neat. I mean, Deluxe is good too as a Windows or iOS key, but I think the key really takes the cake. No pun intended.
Sure. Yeah. No, I feel you. I really like that.
Yeah. Otherwise, very nice looking set. Great theme. Looking good, man. Lots of good renders. I like this.
Yeah, okay, so the Royal, thank you very much for watching the show. We really like this set. We wouldn't have spent so long talking about it if we didn't like it. I think we're both suckers for text-based novelties, and you really hit it out of the park with those ones. So, yeah, well done, dude.
Yeah, I need to make a set that only has text-based novelties now.
Just enforce them.
I've been inspired. Yeah. This set inspires me to make my own set using text-based novelties.
Yeah, he actually just posted in chat, key kit like Zambamon's any key kit.
Enye, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, the Enye is cool
That could
too,
be fun.
but I mean, text-based novelties on the mods, I think, are really, really smart. Love it. All right, let's move on so we don't talk about this too much. But we're looking forward to the set.
Sure.
Hopefully, this goes really well for you because I'd like to buy this.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I will definitely buy that as well if that gets group buy status. Okay, so moving on, something a little bit different now. So instead of our usual Geek Hack and Keep Talk posts and things like that, we're actually going to hop over to Instagram for something that's a little bit more different.
Yeah, so
go
ahead.
Go on, Brian. You
want me to do it? Okay.
Yeah, go on, you do it.
So yeah, as Jay mentioned, this is not necessarily an interest checker or group buy a la our normal talk. This is kind of more of a teaser, because as some of you might remember, a few weeks ago on the show, we talked about Solarized Dark coming back on Kono.store in an unannounced spherical profile. That's what it says on the actual thread on Kono. It has not been updated yet. But according to Thesis Camper, this is going to be using a new profile called XA. So we're not going to talk about the fact that this is Solarized Dark, because we already covered that. We'll cover it again once it moves to group by phase. But let's talk about what XA profile could be, because this looks kind of intriguing, judging by the couple pictures that we get from it here.
It does, and I think when we saw this on the show a couple of weeks ago, I think both of us assumed that this was just renders of SA that looked a tiny bit different, and it was just a render thing, because it said spherical profile unannounced. We just assumed that they hadn't decided which profile they were going to run it in, and we probably talked on the show about it being potentially SA. Now you look at this, there's some subtle differences between this set and what we'd normally see with SA. So whilst the legends are broadly similar, the actual sculpt of the keycaps and the shape of the keycaps does look like it's slightly different. So I think first and foremost, the thing that jumps at me is that the sculpt in terms of the key itself, so the spherical area, doesn't look as though it's as concave as much as what SA is. It kind of looks almost flatter, but at the same time, the keys look like they're slightly narrow on the height, so the sides are slightly more beveled than SA as well. So it'd be interesting to see what this set actually looks like in real life, because I'm assuming that these are still renders rather than actual photographs at the minute. Unless these are really, really clean photographs, then I'm completely not wrong.
I would wager that these are renders.
Yeah, I'm pretty safe on that bet. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see what these are like and how they do differ from SA and get them next to each other.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, over the last couple of years, we've had a lot of new profile sets just hit the market. We've had MT3, we've had XDA, we've had Cat, and not necessarily Cam, but Cam in theory. DSS now just hit the market, and now we're seeing XA here. So new profiles, kind of a trend going on right now, and I'm all in favor of it. How do we think this actually looks compared to something like SA, compared to something like Cat, MT3? Those are probably the three profiles that this is competing against the most.
Yeah, I think it does look as though the keys are flatter and not quite as concave as SA would be. I think it looks, in terms of the sculpt and the shape of the keys, I think it's probably going to be somewhere between SA and MT3. But I think it looks nice. I think it looks comfortable. I think it looks usable. I like that the sculpt isn't quite as noticeable and quite as severe as it is across SA keycaps across the top to bottom rows. It just looks a little bit shallower. So yeah, I'm interested to see what this looks like and get some of the caps up close and test them out next to each other.
Yeah, because obviously, we've used Cat now. You've recently checked out my set of Cat profile, and I know that, like me, you're also a big fan of it.
Big fan, so, yeah, huge fan.
One of the things that I love about Cat profile in particular is not just the super smooth PBT, which I think is really nice, but also just the really mellow sculpt. So the idea was to kind of have something that was like a hybrid between like SA and Cherry, and I think Cat accomplishes that pretty well. It has a really mild sculpt. It's not too tall, and I feel like this is not too dissimilar to Cat profile personally. I mean, the sculpt looks pretty darn manageable. It's not quite as aggressive as something like MT3 or DCS, which really kind of have that really super aggressive sculpt as you move down to the last couple of rows. This seems a lot more reasonable, a lot more manageable.
I think it tailors off. So instead of having that kind of curve that almost comes back on itself, it's kind of a shallower.
It's like it flattens out.
It finishes flatter. Yeah, it does. It has like a flattened bottom end to it. Yeah, I think this looks really nice and comfortable. It just looks comfortable to use at that kind of angle. I think it also looks slightly lower than SA as well. I think
I was trying to find a picture to actually show how tall it was, because it looks shorter than SA, but maybe a little taller than Cat. It's hard to tell though, because out of like the side profile pictures, this is the best picture that we have out of the bunch, I think. The rest of them don't really show it at a proper angle. You can kind of see from this way, but this is kind of misleading as well. So we'll have to wait and see more. I'd love to see a side profile shot that is just, directly from the side and shows the caps, and maybe like a transparent one where people make like the graphs or whatever that kind of show it compared to other profiles and how tall they are and how aggressive the sculpts are.
Exactly, yeah. The Pokemon Kid in chat is saying there is another post which has them. I'll just see if I can try and find that. It doesn't look like it's on. Oh, actually, it is on there. Hold on, I'll.
Thesis Camper.
Share that. Yeah, I'll share the link in chat. Just give me 1 second.
Sure.
There we go. It's in chat now.
Okay, yeah, that's yep, that is the exact post I was looking at. Okay, so that's a little bit better. Yeah, this leads me to believe that it's definitely a little closer to SA in height, or or MT3. So it's definitely going to be on the higher profile of tallnesses for keycaps. This is probably not going to be nearly as short as something like Cat, which is why I like Cat so much. It's not too terribly tall, but I don't know how I'm going to like this. I wasn't the biggest fan of SA, sculpted or not. I think it's just a little too tall. MT3 I thought felt pretty good, but had the same issue for me. It's just too tall to use. My kind of theory, this is just kind of what I feel when I type, but in terms of like MT3 and SA and stuff, like they're just so tall. There's just so much cap there that you actually lose some of the switch feel while you're typing, which is part of the reason I tend to prefer things like Cherry Profile, which is much closer to the Switch. You get much more of the Switch properties themselves while you're typing, because there's not as much cap to get in the way. But that's just kind of how I feel, and that's why I tend to veer away from those profiles. They're just not quite as comfortable to me. So I'm expecting that to be a very similar case here, but I would still love to give it a try anyways, just to make sure.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think we definitely need to get hold of some of these keycaps. There is quite a few posts actually going down Thesis Campus Instagram where these keycaps are shown, and I think a lot of people have just assumed that they are SA keycaps, and obviously now we're finding out that they aren't. So it is interesting to see that this has clearly been in the works for a little while.
Yeah.
Or maybe that is SA.
It's hard to say, right?
Yeah, maybe that is SA, because there's another one that's top down. That one you've just got up now that does look like it's that new profile, but the one showing the
this is clearly uniform.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if they've just been playing around with the idea.
Maybe, but I mean, if it's not SA, and these pictures earlier are supposed to be the XA profile. What does that say so far about XA profile? Maybe it's too close to SA. Maybe. But again, the proof's going to be in actually having these keycaps next to each other and trying them out. I think that's going to be the trick. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It does look a little bit shorter compared to some of the other profiles down here, which are clearly SA. That one's clearly SA there. So it's for sure. It's hard to know. We don't have enough information yet. I have poked Andrew over at Input Club, see if I can get any kind of more info about this, but he hasn't replied yet, unfortunately, so I wasn't able to get any information before the show, which would have been cool, but it is what it is. So we'll keep our eyes open here and hopefully get some more news on that soon. Yeah, for sure. Okay, moving on to our last topic then. We've got another GMK set. This is a GMK Yellowjacket. The link's in chat now. So this is by an interest check by GTRX on Geek Hack. This is a GMK Yellowjacket. The link's in chat now. So this is by an interest check by GTRX on Geek Hack. This is by an interest check by GTRX on Geek Hack.
This is designed with simplicity, affordability, and compatibility in mind. So when we look at the base kit for this, it is quite a constrained base kit with those parameters, but it does try and cover a lot of the standardized layouts. It covers 60% TKL, 65% HHKB, and ISO support as well. But it does eschew the numpad to try and keep the price down too. Lots and lots of renders of this one. What do you think to this, Brian? I'm not sure what to make of it myself. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
I think the set looks fine. I'd totally be okay with using it. And then obviously he's going for a theme here, bees, Yellowjacket. And like Zerpocalypse actually says in chat, I think Wasp or Hornet would have been a better name. I kind of agree.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I think Yellowjacket might not have been the most successful name here. Also, the interest check itself is a little weak. There's pictures, and that's about it. There's an IC form, some pictures, and that's about it. There's, you know, in that the one line of theme that you said, designed with affordability, simplicity, and compatibility in mind. I think it has potential, but I want to see, you know, paint me a picture. Tell me the reason why you're making this set. What's the, you know, give us a little bit more backstory on the theme and you know, why you're doing some of the things that you're doing with the
For sure.
check.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
The renders really good though. There's some really nice renders in here, IMO, and I think it's an okay looking set. I need more from an interest check. The bar for interest checks has been raised so high over the last like 6 months. Everyone's including tons of information, backstory, reasonings for everything. You know, special thanks section, frequently asked questions segments. Like, people are going so far above and beyond lately with interest checks. I see, like, when I see something like this, it falls a little bit flat for me on an interest check.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it just there's nothing there to grab your attention other than just pictures, and it's kind of like, well, tell us more about how you've come up with the idea, what sort of iterations you've been through, what you're thinking about in terms of what your next steps are, and all of that kind of stuff. It just feels like it's a little bit lackluster in terms of the interest check. And you're completely right saying that the bar's been raised, especially over the last 6 months. I think we've seen a massive change in how people lay out these interest checks now. So yeah, I think whilst the set looks nice and it looks okay, I think we do need more information about the choices behind it.
Yeah, it's at least for me, it's too hard to pull me in with just pictures. You know, invest me in this set. What you know, make me want to put money into this set. Anyways, that's that. There's not much more we can say about it since there is no more information. But
yep,
that is what it is. We do actually have one more topic. Jay was lying, but
sorry, I meant the end of the keycap section. Yeah, no, we do have one more topic here.
Yeah. So this is a kind of a little post about custom cut foam plate and case spacers, free engraving for SA Leviathan purchase. Okay, cool. So this is by MK Ultra Corporation. I'm assuming that's what the corp stands for. And this is kind of an interesting thing. So obviously a lot of you guys are probably pretty familiar with using foam or sorbethane or other materials inside your case under the PCB. Helps give you a little bit quieter of a case, reduces some of that internal ping, you know, reduces the sound altogether, gives it a little bit deeper, more dampened kind of sound, I guess you could say. That's pretty normal. We've all been there, you know. Most of us have probably tried it at this point. Sorbethane, pretty popular in the community right now still. This guy's offering something a little bit different. So he does offer foam. Let me bring up the website, actually. Sorry. He does offer some case foam, just like we had just mentioned. But he also is doing something that's a little bit more interesting, including the plate. Come on, website, please load. He's doing the plate foam cutouts as well, in which he has cutouts for switches, and it goes between your switch plate and your PCB. So this is kind of a theme that's similar to. Try to find a picture. There we go. So this goes in between your PCB and your switch plate, and it's going to probably, I haven't tried this yet, but it's probably going to dramatically reduce the overall sound profile of your keyboard. So if you're the type of person that really likes that dampened experience, or you want the quietest possible things going on, this could be something for you to check out. And the prices, honestly, are pretty cheap. You know, in this Reddit post, you can get both the plate foam and some case foam for $15.39 with free continental U.S. shipping. So it doesn't cost you a whole lot to try this out, honestly, which is pretty cool. And Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. And he does offer kind of this laser engraving service. So if you do want like a logo on your case foam, for example, he can do that for you, which I thought was a pretty nice touch. But the plate foam is really what has me interested, because we've seen, well, we haven't really seen a whole lot of this in the community at all, but the RamaWorks U80, which is launching pretty soon, we'll cover that on the next show. He is doing a similar thing where he's calling it the Mute or whatever, and it's kind of like a rubber or silicone or something. I don't know the material off the top of my head. I'm sorry, guys, but it's a material that goes between your kind of your plate and PCB, and it's going to severely reduce the amount of noise. So, how do you feel about this? Have you tried something like this yet, Jay?
So I tried it with when I built the JO1, the original design for the isolation mat that we've put on into that did have the lower rubber gasket running between the PCB and the plate. And to be honest, I didn't like the sound profile that it gave. I preferred just to have the open space between it. But that was very different from this type of material. That was rubber. This is a foam, so it would be much more sound dampening than the rubber was. Now MK Ultra, the guy behind it, has reached out to Brian and I and offered to give us some samples of this to try out. So we're going to give it a try, see what we think, get some practice in there on a couple of boards, and see what sort of sound changes we can expect with it. So. Yeah, I think it's a case of let's give it a try and see, and it all depends on what the foam's like, to be honest, and how that affects the actual sound and feel, because I expect it's going to change the feel slightly as well.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll hopefully get some of these soon, and we can try them out and let you guys know what we think about them. Until then, I'm excited to check it out. Definitely, I'm not usually the kind of person that likes the quieter boards. I don't like having like a really dampened experience. I want sound. I just want it to be clean. And I honestly have no idea how much this is going to affect something like this. Yeah. So I'm interested to see where this is going. That's where I'm at right now with this.
Yep, I think that's fair. And as soon as we get any news on this, guys, as soon as we get some samples in, we'll let you know what we think to it.
Yep, absolutely. So, guys, that is actually going to round out our news doc. We're going to talk about our sponsors just for a moment, but while we're doing that, make sure if you guys have any questions to use the @TopClack tag and ask them now. We will be going to our Q&A segment after our sponsor spot is over, guys. So there you go. You want to start us off, Jay, or should I?
I'll go first. Okay, so this week, first of all, we have got zealpc.net. First thing to call out, guys, is if you do want to support the show, we do have an affiliate link that I've posted into chat now. Using that affiliate link does give us a small kickback off every purchase. Doesn't cost you any more, but does really help out Top Clack as a channel and as a content creation studio. So please consider using that link if you want to help us out there. Just calling out the big news on Zeal's website at the moment is that there is a sale on still until the 1st of the month. That's 20% off all of the switches on I think it's all of the switches on the site apart from the Roselios. Is that right, Brian? I think everything
Correct,
but the Roselios.
Roselios, Securios, not part of the sale. Helios,
everything else.
Helios, Xylens, and Helios are.
Yeah, so if you're looking for any of Zeal switches, now is probably a good time to buy. So as always, you've got the Telios on there, which are one of the smoothest linears on the market right now. As well as that, we've also got some of the most tactile switches on there with the V2 lineup too. So I know both Brian and I've tried these switches. They are very, very tactile, possibly the best tactile switch on the market right now, in my opinion. So if you guys are interested in those, do check them out. As well as the standard switches that Zeal has. If you are interested in any of his other products, he does have the PCBs on there as well. So if you want a Zeal 60 PCB or anything like that, do feel free to check those out.
Yes, absolutely. Next up, we have Novel Keys, which you can find over at novelkeys.xyz. And there's all sorts of things going on, as usual. Like we had talked about earlier, he does have the SA Fluffy Clouds group buy up, which has a heavy emphasis on ortholinear and ergonomic keyboard users. Pick that up for a relatively good price there. There's also still Star Wars Galactic Empire DSA still in stock for the full Arabesh and the Arabesh with English. That is officially licensed by Disney, if that's something that actually matters to you. He does still have shirts in stock, a couple new designs here he's been working with. A little bit of a baseball design, a little bit more of a normal design. Those are pretty nice. He still has the Yak Trash Pandas in stock, if that's more up your alley, as well as these adorable Yak Panda sticker These are too
so
good,
cute.
man. I need to get some of them. I just saw them today for the first time, and I was like, those are just too cute, man.
Yeah, when we were doing the news doc, I added those into my basket because they're really cute. Yeah, I really like them.
I gotta get me some of those, man. It's just too good. Regardless, while you're shopping here, if you're buying in-stock items, use our promo code, which is Clackers right now. It'll be changing soon, but Clackers will get you 5% off right now, your total order. So, save a little bit of money while buying from Novel Keys and, helping us out as well.
Sure. Moving on to the third sponsor slot of tonight, it is Corne.store. So there's quite a few things on here that I want to call out. First is SA Arcane. So if you guys are looking for a decent SA key set with some bright, vibrant colours, SA Arcane might be up your street. That's available in group buy right now. If you do want to join that, there's a couple of different my page loads. There's a couple of different kits. Oh, is it finished? Is it sold out? Is it finished?
Oh, it is sold out now.
It is finished. It's finished. I checked that just before the stream and it was on there.
So yeah, same. That's what I did too.
Okay, so it's ended. Okay, so you can't join that, but if you wanted to, you should have done. As well as that, that's all on my thunder now. I was really looking forward to doing that. As well as looking at, they have got SA Granite still on there as well. So again, really cheap base kit price for that. Two, if you're more in the line for a board, then you can check out the Kira keyboards. There's a couple of options for this on the store at the minute. You can check out the standard Kira keyboard, where you can have either the plastic or the metal frame in silver or black. If you're wanting something a little bit different to that, there is the Kira Stealth, which is an all black designed case as well. So you could check that out as too. It is a little bit more expensive, but it is a full metal construction rather than a half and half as per the standard Kira.
Okay, now moving on, we still have KBDfans as well. They have a couple different things going on right now, as well as the group buy for the AI03 2-in-1 Prism switch opener for only $28. You get you that really fancy looking switch opener there that supports both MX style switches as well as the Kale style latch switches. There's only a few days left on this one, guys, so if you guys want to get in on this, make sure you get in the next 3 days, 10 hours, 39 minutes, and 48 seconds. So there is that. They also have a few new, I'm going to try to navigate here. It's hard to navigate while doing this sometimes. But there is a few new SA key sets in stock as well, courtesy of Max Keys, once I freaking find them. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. There we go. So we have a lot of new Max Key sets going on as well. If SA is more your jam and you like slightly less expensive sets than what SP provides, there you go. Lots of options there, as well as an array of standard products for entry-level users in particular. A lot of really inexpensive kits. KBD 6-7, obviously, still wildly popular. Jay and I like that one a lot because it gives you a lot of value for the money, especially if you're a new user and you're on a budget. You run a ball on a budget, Jay.
Absolutely. Okay. So moving on to our last sponsor slot of today, it is Dixiemech. A couple of things we want to call out here from Dixie. First of all is GMK Mizu. If you're interested in that set, it has been extended to the 31st, so you've got a little bit of time to be able to join that. As well as that, the big news today that's just been announced right on the last day is that there is now a 40s kit. So if you do want to try and get a 40s kit from Mizu, you have a day to be able to do that. It's going to be run at cost of the kit. It's not going to be any additional. It's going to be literally at bare bones cost. But that is there to try and support all of those 40 boards and other devices that might need them as well. I think it's only $37, so it's really cheap. So if you guys do want to do that, please support it. It's a really low MRQ as well on that particular kit. So yeah, do feel free to join. But as I say, Mizu has been extended until one more day, so until the end of the day tomorrow. So thank you, Dixiemech, for keeping it open a little bit longer. But just in terms of a bit of an update, I think it's over 600 base kits now sold, so it's doing really, really
over
well.
7 now. Yeah.
Is it over 7 now?
Yeah,
wow,
base kit's over 7, and like you said, $37 for the 40s and orthos kit. That's being ran at cost. That's how good of a person Dixiemech is. So you still have just a day to get in on this, but maybe if you're a 40s and ortho user and you weren't going to buy the set because the base kit didn't naturally support it, bam, there you go. Now you have a really inexpensive kit ran at cost. Easy peasy. You got until tomorrow, though.
Nice.
Yep. There's also there's a couple more things going on just to briefly touch on.
Oh, sure.
He does still have the Nutcracker V2 group buy going on right now, which you can still pick up if you want maybe a different Switch opener, unlike the Prism that we just talked about for KBDfans. This one comes in blue, pink, and purple. The pink I'm really partial to. I think that looks absolutely gorgeous. That's $35. That also opens both KL and MX style Switches, and of course he still has the small batch group buy for the SA Magic City set if anyone's into that. Regardless, while you're there, if you use our affiliate link Dixiemech.com/topclack, it'll help us out a lot. Gives us a bit of a kickback. Of course, doesn't cost you anything extra, but helps us out a lot, guys. So if you're considering joining Mizu, joining the Nutcracker V2, SA Magic City, whatever, while you're there, try to use our affiliate link if you want to support us while purchasing from Dixiemech. So thank you very much, guys.
Absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to roll into our Q&A section. I've seen a few questions being posted up in chat. So if you guys have got any more questions, do tag us with the @TopClack. That just enables us to see them a little bit clearer, a little bit easier, and make sure we're not missing any of your questions. So just scrolling back through chat, I'm trying to find the first question.
Llama Fama, I think is the first question. Yeah. Should I get the GMMK Compact or a GK61 I found on Amazon? What other options do you suggest? So obviously, these are, I don't know about the GK61, but I know the GMMK is a very inexpensive hot swap PCB, which is really attractive to newer users because it doesn't require any soldering and it's inexpensive. You can try a lot of things without breaking the bank. I do think those are pretty good options. I imagine if you're considering that, the GK61 is probably also on the hot swappable variety. I haven't actually looked at the GK61 yet, so I apologize for not having that information. But I know the GMMK is very popular.
Yeah, the GMMK gets a lot of good reviews, so I think it's a pretty good board. It's not something I've actually tried or that I own, I'm afraid, but I'm sure it's from what I've heard, it's a really good bit of kit. I'm just having a quick look at the GK61. It looks reasonable for the money. I think it looks like an okay kit. It is hot swap as well, so you're right on that, Brian.
It does have RGB lighting too.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, plate mounted stabilizers though, which is not great, but it's not terrible.
But it's programmable and it's waterproof and it's $50.
Yeah, $50 is good, yeah.
And it comes with Gateron optical switches, which are, as some people like to think, the smoothest switch on the market. That could be interesting for $50, honestly.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe we might have to get one of these just to try out and have a play with.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Could be something to think about.
Maybe.
Okay. So I could go on.
Yeah, next question. Slippery Pete says, how do you feel about the influx of new Switch profiles? Do you think this is a good thing for the market or will result in oversaturation? Oh, you mean Keycap, I think. Yeah, he's clarified that by Keycap. I think new profiles are a good thing. We've had the same old profiles for a long time now. Having more options and more choices and more competition in the market is never a bad thing for any market. Some things won't work, some things will fail, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The fact that things don't work just tells us more about what the community does like and doesn't like than say anything negative about things. So I'm always open to trying new things.
Yeah, I feel pretty much the same. The market is already oversaturated with keycaps anyways. We've seen so many GMK sets, not even just interest checks, but actual sets go to group buy phase, launch, and ship. So many sets in the last couple of years that, I think some of us are being, getting a little bit jaded to it. And I think new profiles make it a little bit more interesting. I just kind of wish that we start to see some of these new profiles get utilized a little bit more, because even though we are seeing a lot of new profiles, GMK is still the king. And most interest checks and group buys for key sets tend to be GMK cherry profiles. So, I love GMK as much as the next guy. I get it. It's my favorite profile, but I'm getting a little tired of it, if I'm being honest. I want to see more cat. I want to see some cam. I want to see some DSS. I'd like to check out this new XA. Like, show me some new things. Show me something different.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the more new stuff we have to try, the better. That's got to be the way we look at this. And it doesn't matter if stuff doesn't work. It's the fact that we're trying new things. That's what we should be really homing in on, for me.
Yeah.
Okay, what's up next?
List of options is asking, did y'all get a chance to see that massive, big chungus, absolute unit Alps JP board with all the kanji on it? I think Fizzgiz got it. I think I saw a
Nope.
picture of it. And it's absolutely ridiculous. It's like 800,000 bazillion keys. And
Right, okay.
I don't remember where I saw it.
It's
Can you link that picture for us, please? Someone link that picture.
Yeah, if you
for
link
us?
the picture, list of options, and tag us, we'll come back to that one and we'll have a look at it together live.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, absolutely.
Dixie saying we'll be open to purchase past tomorrow, but we'll ship with all the others. Oh, I think he means the 40s kit. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the
Okay,
Mizu 40s kit will be available to purchase past tomorrow, but it'll ship with the actual. Right. Thank you, Dixie. That's
awesome.
really good. Thank you.
Fantastic. The Sweaty Yeti donates what I'm assuming is going to be about 250 bits. That's usually what it is. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that, my friend.
Thank you very much. Straight classy with the Dracula hype. Yeah, it looks like a good key set. We covered it a couple of weeks ago. It looks really nice. We both liked it.
Yeah, Dracula and Nord, I think, both have a lot of potential.
Yeah, well, Nord's now got a Nord kit as well, which is making a lot of the EU crowd happy with it too. So that's good.
Yeah. Once Saved Gaming is asking, will you be discussing the dimple from Lazy Designer? I hear good things about it. So the dimple is something we've already covered 3 or 4 weeks ago, back when it was a newer interest check. So we, assuming once it goes to group buy, we'll cover it again probably. That's usually how we do it. We cover things once in interest check, and then once they move to group buy, then we talk about the differences and what's available, et cetera, et cetera. But we try not to talk about topics more than twice because it can get a little stale unless there's barring some really crazy exemption there.
Yeah, and it gives us more to talk about when you have such a big difference from the interest check to the main group buy as well. If we covered every single iteration of every single interest check, we'd never get through the news. We'd be here all week, just sat here talking to you, not stopping. It wouldn't be possible to do. Okay, I'm lost in chat where we are, so I'm going to let you read out the questions.
That's fine. I'm properly where I need to be. The Raged Asian is asking you thoughts on McLaren dropping the ball at Indianapolis.
Yeah, don't even. Yeah, yeah, disappointing. Really disappointing. I don't have any words. Yeah.
Fair enough. Opdoc is asking our thoughts on GMK Denim, which I know we have covered on a past episode, but I don't really remember it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I wasn't a big fan, if I remember rightly. I'm not quite sure I get the denim theme. I mean, I get what denim is, but I'm not quite sure I get the theme behind it in a key set. Yeah. I'm sure. I think it's a Tonbury set, if I remember rightly. So I'm sure it'll be great when it turns up, but it just wasn't one for me.
Yeah, it's Tonbury set. We've covered this before. I think it's okay. I'm not in love with it, but I don't know. I'm not in love with it.
Indifferent, I think. I think we don't dislike.
Yeah.
We're indifferent. Yeah, I think that's it. Blue Note with a 10 months sub, currently on a 1 month streak. So thank you very much for that, dude. We genuinely appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Our Hypers SR is asking a split spacebar, yay or nay. For me, it's a nay. I get it. I get why people want it. It can be functional. It can be very, very, very functional. But I just don't like the look of it, and I don't need that kind of functionality because I usually use boards that are 60% or larger, and even on my smaller boards, like my TMO 50, I use full spacebar, and I get away with it just fine. So it's not for me, but I get why people would want to use it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Slippery Pete does he links that kanji board.
To the keyboard. Yeah, I've got it.
I'll show it on stream in just a second once it loads. There we go.
Wow.
That is a keyboard, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. Well, yeah. It's a board full of keys, right? It's a slab.
Keyboard is a blanket term, right?
Sure. Yeah. I really like the patina on the edge. I really like that. I'm more interested in his Herman Miller chair, though. That's lovely. Nice embody chair there. I like that.
The setup looks pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's a huge board. Yeah, that's a big old board. Yeah, look at the cables coming out the back of it. Is that 3 different cables coming out of it?
Oh, I hope so.
two cables looped around. Yes, there's 2 different cables coming out of the back of that board. Wow.
Do you think there's multiple PCBs in there?
There has to be either that, yeah, because you'd run out of you'd run out of space on the chip to have all the codes put in. So yeah, it must have multiple PCBs. I mean, we were really close on the Hyper 7 build, just behind me. We were really close to maxing out what the chips could handle in terms of different keys. So that's got, I suspect it's got multiple controllers in there for different things.
That's you're right. That is a big chungus absolute unit.
Yeah, it's a good way of describing it. I thought it was a silly post before, but this is a completely accurate description.
Oh no, my friend. Oh no. This is quite real. Sweaty Yeti donates another 250 bits. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, dude. Thank you.
You are far too kind. 10 Strong is asking, so last week I asked your 3 switches in a deserted island question. This week, which 3 layouts would you choose to last you the rest of your boards? Ergo/split, ortho, any moderate variation. Each one counts as one choice. That's really easy. See, that's much easier to me than like switch questions or keycap questions, because all I really need is a 60%.
Okay,
everything else is kind of irrelevant. I guess we'd keyless TKL. I also like a lot. And then 65%, I guess, would be my other one. That covers like more than all of my bases.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I think I would definitely have 65% in mine. I've got 65% on my desk right now, so I think that would be probably my go-to. As I said earlier on, I think mini Type 1800 boards are going to be the board of the year. I think that's going to be the theme that we see running throughout this year, so I would vote for my cypher in there. I think that would go in there. And then the third one would just be standard 60%, because you can't go wrong with a 60%. Racing Giraffe.
What group buy do you regret not joining? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy, what a. I feel like I get this question a lot too. And I still, I guess, pretty much anything by Keycult or TGR.
That's fair. Yeah.
I regret not joining the Alice, because I remember when it first went up, and I was like, it's pretty cool. And like the more I saw it, the more I regretted not having one.
Yeah, I think for me, the Keycult number 2 would be one for me, and it wasn't that I didn't try, it's just I didn't get in. So I think that would be the big one for me, number 2. If I was thinking key sets, I'm kind of kicking myself for not getting Calm Depths right now, and I wish I had done.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. The more I see pictures of it, the more I like it. Yeah, I kind of want that as well. But I don't really regret that. I just wish I had the set, so I'll pick that up aftermarket, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Llama Fama. If you have time, what would be a good budget Ergodox alternate?
Ergodox alternate, huh? I feel like I've seen at least 1 or 2. I mean, you can get relatively inexpensive versions of the Ergodox, right?
Yeah, you can get the EZ, which is quite nice. I don't think it's particularly expensive.
No, the EZ is actually more expensive than like all the other versions, just because of the extra features. I don't think it was particularly
expensive though. I thought that was quite.
They're about $300.
Oh, is it? Is it really that expensive?
The Ergodox EZ, I know yeah.
The Easy is the one with the tenting kits in it, right?
Has a built-in tenting kit. It has a full like high-profile plastic enclosure. There's a shine version that has LEDs. It comes with keycaps and stuff. But I think if you just go like the bare bones, like you just buy Ergodox PCBs from, I don't know, is it Profit? I don't know if he still sells them. Like you just buy the PCBs and you can get like the really cheap, like inexpensive layered acrylic cases. I'm blanking on where to buy all this because I don't use any of this, but I know I've seen them. Like you can kind of build one yourself for like somewhere around like $100 to $150.
Sure, I've never actually had an Ergodox, so it's a difficult question for me to answer, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like Ergodox isn't as popular as it used to be. It enjoyed a lot of popularity a couple years back, and I don't see it quite as often anymore.
I genuinely thought the EZ was quite cheap, but I'm just looking now, and you're right, it's $325. I didn't realize it was that price. I thought it was significantly cheaper than that. So, yeah, I'm just way too removed from the Ergodox community, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Once Save Gaming is saying Royal now has fixed ISO on Fro.Yo. There you go. He changed it while we were, doing our show. What a guy. Thank you.
I'm not sure if I've got the thread still open. If I do, I'll refresh it and have a look. Yeah, I do. Boom. There we go. Nice.
Is it updated?
Good work. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Very nice. Okay.
Awesome work.
Give in is asking me, how is the Kepler after using it as a daily for a bit? So yeah, I've been using it for a few days now, and I still love it. It feels and sounds absolutely amazing. True isolation mount has really kind of been the bee's knees, and I really like it a lot. I do have another internal configuration to put in there. I have another PCB, and I have a copper plate that was done by Laser Boost. It looks amazing, and I'm really excited to build that up. I think it might be as interesting or more so than the Gateron inks that I have in there now. I do think the Gateron inks are nice, but I kind of want to try a tactile approach too. So I think I'm going to go with some kind of tactile switch on the
nice
on the copper plate. I'm actually going to be doing lubed Zelios most likely. So interested to see how that turns out, and I kind of want to, just for the sake of like a controlled experiment, I just want to put some nice retooled blacks in there as well that I'll lube. I still have some from the very first batch of retools, so they're like, they actually have like decent retooled blacks. So I'm going to be breaking those in, lubing those up, and putting those in probably the carbon fiber plate, just to try to get kind of a feel of it. So expect some Kepler build/rebuild streams from me in the nearish future.
Sounds good. Yeah, excellent. Okay, and I think that does us for questions, Brian. So speaking of streams, what have you got coming up this week?
Okay, so I will be streaming tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a TX 1800 rebuild. I know I was supposed to do it last week. A lot of things came up. Real life happens, unfortunately, and sometimes I just got to deal with that. But I will be doing that tomorrow, and depending on how fast that takes me, I might be building my Leaf 60 in the same stream. Just because I was supposed to do that this week. So I'm doing at least a TX 1800 rebuild, a white one. It looks really nice. Might also include my Leaf 60, but the Leaf 60 might also be next week now. So we'll wait and see. But I will be streaming tomorrow unless something goes crazy wrong.
Sounds good. Sounds good. In terms of my streams, I've got a build stream on Sunday of this week. I haven't decided which board I'm going to do yet. I've got a choice of 3 or 4 different ones. I could either do my one-off chocolate KBD 67 with the carbon fiber plate. I could do my TR 60, which is a Bluetooth build, which I've kind of got a special LED mod for the rear bar for that one to do as well. Or I could actually build my Dora 67, which for those of you who haven't seen, turned out a little bit scuffed, to say the least, which I'm not very happy with, but I'll still build it at some point as well. So multiple options. Not sure which board I'm going to do yet, but I'll put an announcement up in the Discord when I decide what I'm going to do on Sunday. I have to decide which one's going to bring me the most happiness. So we'll go from there.
Fair enough. Llama Fama has another question saying, sorry I have so many, I'm new to this. No problem at all, by the way. You can ask as many questions as you want. What do you think about those SteelSeries Apex key switches that are adjustable? I haven't even seen those yet.
No, I've not tried them either.
Yeah, usually, oh man. See, the keyboard community, whether we want to believe it or not, kind of has this split in it to where there's like this kind of outside force that is mostly gamers that use off-the-shelf keyboards, and like they might be a little bit more in tune in some ways with those kind of manufacturers, whereas we're a little bit more in the custom scene, which usually we try to cater to everyone. We try to get beginners and novices in here and get them learned up and stuff like that. But it's difficult to cover like everything sometimes, and sometimes we just miss stuff, and sometimes we don't know things. We don't have all the information. But moving forward, that is something I want to start paying more attention to. Once Top Clack kind of moves into full-time studio territory, that's something that we'll have a lot more time for. That's something we'll actually be able to pay attention to a little bit more. Both inside and outside our kind of niche custom aspect of the community. So, but right now, yeah, I can't really comment on that, unfortunately, because I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, for sure. A couple more questions come through. Just Opdoc says he's building his number 2 this weekend. I'm a little bit jealous. I really want to build it.
I'm jealous too.
I really want to build it. Now, even though I don't own one, I really want someone to send me one to build.
I know. I'm like almost at the point right now where I feel like I should pay someone to let me build their number 2.
Well, I build it for free. I would build it for free.
Well, I would build one for free too, but like, I feel like that's not good enough for a number 2 right now.
Potentially, yeah. I do really want to see one in the flesh. I'm hoping there's going to be one at Seattle at the very least, so I can actually see one up close and personally if I don't get to build one. Yeah. Our Hypers says...
we actually missed a question, sorry.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, 10 Strong doesn't tag us, but he asks, how close are we to partner? So we actually did apply for partner just a couple days ago. We haven't got a response yet. It does take Twitch a little bit of time usually. So our partnership application is being reviewed. Hopefully we'll get the all good and go, and we can move on to being a Twitch partner, and things will be a little bit nicer for all of us. Or, they'll deny us and say, no, try again in 3 or more months. And at that point, we'll just go, okay, well, let's do as much as we can in that amount of time. And then we'll, keep on keeping on doing our thing, and we'll try again later,
Either way, as soon as we've got some news on that front, guys, we will let you know whether we've made partner or not. It was some big news for us if we have, so we'll definitely share that with you guys as soon as we've got an answer. So just moving on to our Hypers, our question, kind of an obscure question, wondering if at Top Clack or anyone in chat knows, do all Weiss 50 boards have thick DCS caps? No, not all of them do, because I'm pretty sure I've got an old Weiss 50 that doesn't have DCS caps. So I don't think they all do. I'm pretty certain that there's a lot of boards out there that won't have them. So yes, just double check what you're buying. 69 George 69 says, did you look at the IDB 60? Yes. So I've played around with a couple of these, previously known as the Secret 60, run by Pingu. I know, Brian, you've been in the chat with Pingu about getting one as well, so I think we're both waiting for it to be announced. I think he's waiting on the second round of the prototype at the minute, and as soon as that arrives, I think there'll be quite a few people trying to get into that group buy. So we are aware of it going on, and yes,
we're
as soon as we get hold of it,
we're both hoping to get one, is the bottom line.
Yeah.
It looks very cool for the price, definitely.
Yeah, they are really cool. I've tried a couple of the. In fact, I might try and borrow one actually to bring over for Seattle, because it is a really interesting board. I might try and borrow one.
That'd be great. Yeah. Slippery PED is asking, what are our feelings on T1 switches still being sold directly from the manufacturer? I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, I'd heard that earlier on in the week. I've heard a couple of different stories around this. One that the molds have been destroyed as part of the Gator on Zeal way kind of discussion, or that they've been confiscated or something to that effect. And then I've also seen that the company is still selling them on Taobao, and there's a couple of people trying to arrange individual group buys for the switches. I guess there's a couple of ways of looking at it. First of all, the switches aren't bad. They're quite good switches. They're really tactile. They need a little bit of work to get them to be a really good switch, and they're probably closer to a Zealio V2 than anything else on the market, but they're not as good as Zealio V2 out of the box, and even after a bit of tweaking, they're not quite as good, but they were a good budget alternative. So in terms of the switch itself, it's a nice bit of kit. In terms of them still being sold, given the fact that the factory did what they did around fake switches and Stelios, as it were, which I hate that term, but the fake Telios and fake Zealio switches, I'm not sure we should support them within the community personally, irrespective of whether their other products are good. Having a bad product like that on the market that's been sold as something quite negative tends to suggest to me that we shouldn't support them.
Do we know the name of that manufacturer?
Duragong or something like that. I have seen it typed out. I couldn't pronounce it, but it begins with a D, and it's Durgong or Durong or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. I guess my personal feelings, I fall on the fence of it being morally unethical, and so I would not buy them. I would not encourage people to buy them. And like Jay said, they're not as good as Zealios V2 anyways, and I totally agree on that. If you spend the extra handful of dollars and just get Zealio V2s, honestly, IMO.
Yep. George comes back with another question. Says, do you prefer 65 with or without blockers? Only one correct answer with a blocker. Personally, I like a 65% with a blocker. That's why the JO1 has separate arrow clusters, because that was my 65% board. So it has kind of a blocker there. But I'm using a Canoe right now, so that's got a blocker too.
Yeah. I'm pretty much the same. Blockers, I'm usually all in favor of. People that, have spent a lot of time watching the show know my opinion of expensive keyboard cases. I think that when you're spending so much on a keyboard case or housing, being able to see more of the case and more of the design is just better, in my opinion. You don't spend $500 on a keyboard just to look at the keycaps. So that's where I fall on that. Blockers, I'm usually A-okay with.
Yeah, it's a nice place to rest your little finger as well, your pinky finger. Yeah.
Do you do that? I don't think I do that.
I do. On the canoe, I do. I rest my little finger in the in the nook between the second control key and the arrow keys. Yeah.
Okay.
Rest it on the blocker.
Yeah. I
don't know why. Just do.
That's used. I guess I'll have to try it. Right.
I almost use it like homing. I think that's what I do. I use it almost like a homing kind of position, so I know where everything is from there. I think that's what I do. Subconscious.
Another one from Llama Fama is asking, last one, what do you think is the best way to get comfortable soldering keyboards? The first thing I would say to you is that soldering is a lot easier than it seems to be. It really is. It really, really is. Second, I would say, think about how deep in this hobby you plan to go. Do you plan on building one board and one board only your entire life, or do you actually plan on diving deeper in the hobby and maybe you're going to build 2, 3, 5, 10 boards the next year? Because that determines what you should be investing money in. Maybe you have a ton of money and money is irrelevant to you, then you can just buy the best products and stuff. But for most of us, obviously, we often have a budget. And, spending $80 to $100 on, a soldering iron, then another $50 on the rest of this setup, then another $50 here and there, is poor value if you're only building one board or two boards. But, I mean, if you actually plan to go far in the hobby and build a lot of boards, it's worth investing, $100, $200 into a bunch of nice equipment. Decent enough equipment. And, just go with that. If you want to get comfortable, you can just find, like, a really cheap soldering iron and maybe, like, a PCB that someone is selling that doesn't work. Like a broken PCB or something. You can often get those for free, the cost of shipping or so. I know Upas over at canonkeys.com has Practice 60 kits and Ortho 48 kits, which are very inexpensive, and they come with a lot of things that you have to solder. So you could try building one of those up. It's almost hard to mess up soldering. As far as most keyboard stuff is concerned, almost everything is fixable. In one way or another, so it's pretty easy. So just keep in mind it's not as dramatic as some people make it out to be. Soldering is really, really easy. I did it my first time, no problem. You just got to you get some solder, you get your iron, you heat up the pad for a second, you push a little bit of solder onto the pad and the tip, and then once it's all connected there, you just move away and you move on. Do that 100 times or 200 times or whatever.
I think my advice would be is practice. So get something that you can practice on, like the Practice 60, and watch some YouTube videos because it's not difficult at all. You watch a couple of videos, you're going to be fine moving forward with it. You're going to see how it is. You're going to try it once or twice, and you'll just click. You'll get into your own rhythm, your own pattern of doing it, and you'll find it's not too difficult, I think.
Yeah.
Starson asking Discord Partner 2 is something we're going to look at. We need to work out what the benefits to Top Clock are of looking at Discord Partner. So it's something that's on the pad to do. We'll definitely take a look at that, but no decisions as yet.
Yeah. It's in the works, but it's definitely not at the top of our priority list. D Bizzle King subs at tier 1, subbed for 21 months in a row.
Nice. 21 months.
Thank you so much. I think that is the maximum amount of months, so thanks for sticking with us all this time. Okay, people are saying Duroc is the name of that manufacturer.
I wasn't far away. I can't remember what I said, but I wasn't far away.
You're close enough. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
And that's actually going to catch us up on questions. Yeah. And yeah, we had just over a 2-hour show today. That's not too bad. But Jay needs to get some sleep because he's been up for over 24 hours now. So
in 5 minutes, I'll have been up for 24 hours. Yeah, 1/4 the hour, I've been up for 24 hours. So I'm feeling tired now. Really tired. But a pint of rum and coke has done me the world good.
Hey man, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Anyways,
sometimes you have to. Yeah.
Below the stream, you'll find links to our official Discord. If you want to come hang out with us there, you can talk to us about keyboards or anything else. Maybe play some games with us. Whatever. We do giveaways there sometimes as well. So check that out. You can also check out our YouTube channel, which is also linked down below. You can follow there. You can catch the VODs of all of our shows, all of our build streams, all of our typing tests, what have you. Lots of different things going on. It's going to be pretty good stuff. One last question, Kiryu, we can answer this really quick, is asking, have you tried the blue Xylent tactiles? If so, what are your thoughts on them? How do they compare to Zealio V2s? I think in terms of feel, they're very, very, very comparable to Zealio V2s. It's almost an exact like copy in terms of feel. You just get a more dampened bottom out because of the silencing material. They are much quieter. They're not as quiet as Helios because the additional snap from the big tactility on the Xylents just gives you a little bit more impact that can't quite fully be dampened. So if you're going for complete silence, the Xylents might not be entirely for you, but they are pretty darn quiet, especially when lubed.
Yeah, I'd agree. That bump is just as big on the Xylents as it is on the actual Zealios. You know, if you're not bottoming out, it feels very, very, very similar. So yeah, give them a try.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you maybe come hang out with me tomorrow. I'll be doing a build stream. It'll probably be somewhere around 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Pacific time. Maybe even a little bit early. We'll see. Pay attention to the Discord for announcement on that. Jay, you can catch him building on Sunday at 12 p.m. Pacific time or 8 p.m. UK time. And,
correct. I'll remember.
Other than that, we'll of course next week Thursday, same time, same place, guys. Just like today, that's our next main show. So thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate you guys all hanging out with us.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
See you next time.